Dude, amateur is about as accurate as it.
I don't know. This is way more legit than amateur.
Checking connection. We're live.
Boom.
We are live. All right. So we're here on the Sidetrack podcast. I just made a really loud noise with that microphone, but it is what it is. Here with Joel Sellmeyer, and for those of you who don't know, I'm going to make this real awkward for you. This is one of very few conversations that him and I have ever had where I was not face down with all my clothes off.
Very true statement, and also very awkward.
This is where the camera, if we had a cameraman, he would zoom in on my face. And
Yeah.
That would be really weird looking.
Oh, yeah.
Joel's my chiropractor. And I'm not even in the live video, so I got to adjust that too. We're not bullshitting when we say
We're figuring this out as we go.
amateur.
That's all right. I mean, I look, there we go. I look pretty good sitting here.
Yeah, you look fucking
Mm-hmm. There we go.
That should be better, huh? This feels like it's off too. Oh, now it definitely is. You know, I don't know. You know what? You guys are gonna have to fucking deal with it. This is as good as it gets. Don't worry about that front-facing thing. It's wider.
Gotcha.
We're all the way in.
I'm not worried.
Yeah, we're all the way in it. Okay, so I'm just gonna hit really quickly already. I normally would just kind of organically bring this up somewhere in the middle of the conversation, but I'm gonna bring up the shoes today before I even put them in there because there's a visual aspect to it that's a necessity. So if you watch the first episode, and you'll notice if you watch the ones going forward, every episode I'm going to use this old school TV, which is now of course the centerpiece of the Sidetrack podcast, as a display for a different pair of shoes, and each pair of shoes that I display in there is going to have some kind of relevance to the guest that I have on with me. And the reason that I chose these, the Kobe 10, I'm like really happy about this. I feel really creative when I bring this up. The reason, so if you notice, this is a very high top shoe, higher than the average high top. And the reason that they designed that shoe that way was because the year that these came out, actually the year before these actually came out, Kobe tore his Achilles tendon.
Yep.
Yeah, and so look at the back. These little 4 red checks, basically, it was his left Achilles that he hurt, and that's what that symbolizes. And of course, the reason that I brought up injuries and shoes that symbolize injury is that this guy fixes injuries.
And we're also huge Kobe fans, both of us. We've had so many conversations about him.
Huge Kobe fans. That's another. I mean, there's a lot of different ways we can use this shoe
Absolutely
to kind of symbolize what we got going on here. Was that Bruce already barking? Yep. We're fucking killing it.
Good thing we did all that work before to keep him in the back. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Like, this is gonna go down in history as arguably the greatest podcast ever recorded.
I mean, I just want to bring up that I'm following Steve Ewing. When 6 months from now, when we're like, hey, look how many hits the first one got, and then there seems to be a dip in the second one. Like, not my fault.
Hey, man.
Didn't pick the order on this one.
I'm sorry that I set you up for failure.
That's all right. It's pretty much the story of my life.
I know.
It's actually fitting. Yeah.
I was really lucky to get Steve on here. He probably doesn't even look at it that way. He probably thought it was cool that he came on, but he has no idea the fact that literally the Urge was in my top 5 favorite bands. Period. Growing up, I mean, I put them within the likes of some worldwide celebrities, basically.
Right there. I mean, yeah. St. Louis legend. Yeah. I mean, there's no other way to say it. St. Louis absolute legend.
Truly.
Everybody knows that name.
Yeah.
I told people in the office all day today, I'm like, great, I'm following Steve Ewing, and every single person just started laughing. They're like, well, that's good luck.
Right. It was a fun conversation, but
I haven't got to listen to it yet.
Yeah.
I kind of didn't want to listen to it before I came in. Didn't want to have any expectations.
You don't want to overthink it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I find myself overthinking it because it's I don't know. It's just when you're sitting down to just have a conversation with a person, and you're recording it to show other people, I have this like preconceived tendency that I have to interview you.
Right.
And this is not what this is. Like, this is not me asking a bunch of questions to get to know Joel Sellmeyer.
Everything changes when you have a microphone and headphones on.
Yeah.
It is crazy. I talk all day long, and I get in this setting, instantly changes.
It's completely different.
And all I do is run my mouth all day.
Right.
And everybody that knows me knows that. So,
well, and like I said in the very beginning, you're used to having people face down with their clothes off.
mixture of that,
Yeah,
for sure.
For sure. Even me. This is one of the first times he's ever actually even seen my real face. It's usually my face is smashed into the chiropractic table.
He's prettier from the backside.
I get that a lot. I do. I get that a lot. That's actually goes right along with why I'm doing a podcast. I was always told that I have a face for radio.
You and me both.
Man.
You and me both.
But I do the video portion, so I kind of fucked that whole thing up.
Yeah.
Still have to see my face.
Yeah.
But you can also obviously just choose to listen on Spotify. You don't have to see me at all.
Right.
That's probably your better option.
Right. Just, yeah, Joe Rogan it.
Yeah. Sure. Well, that's actually funny, too. A couple things. I want to touch on a couple things about Joe Rogan. One, well, where was I going to even go with that? I've already lost my train of thought. But one, people are like, well, so what's your podcast going to be about? I'm like, it's not about anything.
Right.
It's just a conversation.
It's the Seinfeld of podcast.
Yeah. And they're like, you mean like, so you're just trying to be Joe Rogan? And I'm like, no, but
I don't think there is a being Joe Rogan.
No.
Like I just that's him.
Yeah.
You can't replicate it.
No, I mean, for fuck's sake, no. I'm not going to ever compare myself to Joe Rogan.
Nobody can.
No, it'd be stupid to do. But at the same time, like, if you were starting a podcast, wouldn't you want to be kind of like the best podcaster in the world?
For sure, have to base it off. He hands down, and multiple people have said this, is the best live interview person on the planet right now.
I don't think it's even close.
No.
And it's so, I use, like, you can use literally any comparison. It's like, if you were going to be a basketball player, wouldn't you want to be like LeBron James?
Right.
Or Michael Jordan?
Right.
Whatever. Do you want to get into that debate?
Right. No.
We don't have to, because we're on the same page.
I mean, it's not even close.
Yeah, we're on the same page.
Let's not hit that one.
I'm telling you right now, dude, no matter how long I end up doing this, hopefully for a long time, maybe permanently, who knows? There's going to be a lot of people that sit in that chair that are going to have that conversation with me.
I mean, it's that could end up being your thing.
Yeah. Dude, it could.
But I mean, I was just talking to a guy about it yesterday. It's not like people take a step back and scream Allen. They scream Kobe. So it's the same thing. You're gonna start. I mean, no kid envisions himself being the 5th best man on the team.
No.
So.
It's true. But yeah, it's just. That was the one thing about Joe Rogan. I forget what the other thing. I don't even remember what the point of bringing up Joe Rogan was. There was another point that I wanted to make as it pertained to him, and now I don't remember.
But it is crazy. A lot of his best episodes are the people that are the least known. I know we were just talking about it. Both of our favorite episode is the sleep study guy, and probably one of the few dudes on there who nobody knew their name before. And if you look at the views, it's towards the top of the viewership.
I still don't remember his name.
No. And he's awesome.
He's amazing.
And he spoke insanely well.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show.
He was extremely charismatic and insanely informative.
And so smart, and yet you understood everything he said.
Yeah.
Which was insane. We both know how hard that is to do.
Yeah, and you don't know who the fuck he is. He's just a guy. He's not some big celebrity that draws views and engagement due to the fact that they're just a big celebrity. He's not. Like I said, I've watched that episode multiple times.
Absolutely.
I still don't even know his name.
No.
But yeah, the dude that was, if you guys are Joe Rogan, I'm just sitting here, I'm going to promote everyone else's podcast
right.
instead of my own today. But the guy he's the guy who does
if you just look up Joe Rogan sleep study or sleep, it'll come up. I mean, by far most informative podcast I've ever listened to.
He was amazing, and
it's irregardless of who you are or what you're doing, sleep pertains to everyone.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was a really good one. Another one that I loved, is a guy named Ed Calderon. I don't know if you saw him.
I don't think so.
He's a guy that was just, again, not a celebrity. Nobody really, I don't think anyone really knew who he was. He was like former law enforcement in Mexico City.
No, I haven't seen that one then. Okay.
He's been on there, I think he's been on there twice now. Maybe only once. I think twice though. But he was another one who was just like not a celebrity. Nobody knew who the fuck he was. But he had unbelievable stuff to talk about pertaining to, you know, the cartel and all that kind of stuff in Mexico, and how it's relevant in the U.S. government today and the things that they do. And anyway, it doesn't really matter. But again, not a celebrity, not a famous person, but insanely interesting.
Absolutely. A subject we all care about. Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite episodes of his podcast.
I'll check that one out tomorrow then.
Remember the point I was going to make about Joe Rogan, and this is so like now that I'm doing this podcast, I get questions a lot about what are my favorite podcasts. Like people are always asking for my suggestions of other people's podcasts, and of course, you know, like I would love to give people those suggestions, but I've legitimately never listened to any podcast ever in my life.
Really?
Watched clips of Joe Rogan's podcast, and there's
on YouTube or
on YouTube.
Okay.
I watched the first Elon Musk episode in its entirety.
Yeah, me too.
The Sleep Guy, I watched in its entirety.
Absolutely.
I watched individual clips from it multiple times. Those, I think that's the only podcast I've ever like started from the start and finished at the finish.
Yeah.
And that was on YouTube doing the video thing. I've never streamed a podcast. The only podcast I've ever streamed listening to, if you count this, are the podcasts that I've been a guest on.
Gotcha.
Of course I want to listen to myself.
Well, I wouldn't. Yeah, Andy Frisella's are the only one I've streamed. Joe Rogan I've only watched on YouTube. I've never streamed his, so that's been about it. Of course that opens, you know, the whole Pandora's box where it leads to another interview sometimes or something else, but that's been about it. I think the only one I watched all the way through besides the sleep study guy was the West Side Barbell.
The old one?
Yeah, no, I think it was the second. I literally think it was the second or third one. Yeah. Which is funny. You talk about mix-ups in here. You go back and watch that. It was horrible. They had the guy kept popping in, which I was so happy he had at YouTube, because you get such a good idea on the rawness of how that stuff started. He has a plastic fold-out table, a microphone in the middle. They don't even each have one.
Right.
I don't even think they both had headphones on. I think only Joe had headphones on. And Louis is just talking, and they keep having to move the microphone to one side or the other because it keeps getting distorted. So hey, if we're going off things, you're starting off pretty well here. Wow. Besides your second guest not being Louis, it's me. But yeah, besides that, you're doing good.
I'm gonna get him. But yeah, I mean, I'm better than Joe Rogan, obviously.
Well, I mean, you're starting off better than him.
We each have our own fucking microphone.
That's what I'm saying. We don't have a guy to adjust it though.
Did he at that point?
I just remember the guy kept coming over and moving it, because Joe was like, "What's going on? Can you guys hear us? What's going on?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's just light." Because Louis was, you know, surprisingly wasn't talking very loud during the whole thing. Yeah. Probably nervous more than anything.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like podcast back then, that he was like one of the only ones.
Oh, absolutely.
A couple people in the world that were doing them. Like, to this day, a lot of people don't even know what the fuck a podcast is. No,
I don't even know. I will have to go back and look at that. I don't even know if that was like planned to be on a podcast, or if he was just starting like YouTube and that back then.
It could be too.
Yeah, just interviewing him.
And they were probably in a state, they probably were just doing like somewhat interview style YouTube video. Right. But like accidentally turned it into a podcast.
Absolutely. He was ahead of it. Yeah.
There wasn't really such a thing. He was kind of inventing it himself. Like I said, there's maybe a couple of people before him. I forgot I got to put the shoes in the...
Oh, put them in the case?
I'm going to put them in the box.
Oh, it's not as awkward as the deals I see we're acting like it was.
I did a way better job this time.
Oh, yeah. See that? See, second time around?
I'm already getting better. I'm so good.
Dang.
Joe Rogan better fucking watch out. His like little first place spot, which I don't even know if he has the number one podcast. I have no idea. There might be people bigger than him.
But I can't imagine. Yeah.
This episode's good.
Pick up. This is the Spotify pickup moment.
It is. 100 mil.
Easy. Now, how many podcasts have you been on?
I've been on 2 different podcasts, but one of them I've been on 3 times.
Okay.
So we're gonna call that 4.
4.
Yeah, we're calling that 4.
And then you've done 1 interview.
Right.
Okay.
But that interview was with fucking Steve Ewan.
Right.
The funny thing is, dude, growing the dog, I'm gonna fucking murder these dogs. Are you fucking kidding me, man?
He's just joking in case this makes it big. He's not being serious on murdering.
Anybody watching or listening, if there's anybody out there that's like got a bunch of disposable income that they want to invest, I'm looking for a studio that's not inside my fucking house that I have access to whenever I want, so that my dogs don't bark in the middle of my fucking podcast. They only did it like once or twice with Steve.
Really?
And then with you, they've been barking this entire
since I knocked on the door. Yeah.
You know what? It's
character. Yeah, exactly.
See, we're on the same page.
Exactly. See, and when people look back, they're gonna be like, "Remember when he used to have dogs barking on his podcast?" Yeah.
10 years from now.
Exactly. Less.
And you know what's funny too is 10 years from now, Macy, anybody watching that knows my dogs, frankly, if you're watching this, you probably follow me on social media.
Right.
Otherwise, how the hell are you going to even know?
Exactly.
And if you follow me on social media, you know my dogs. You probably know them by name. I actually get people on a regular basis tell me that the dogs are the real reason that they actually follow me.
I know for my wife, it's the reason she followed you.
Yeah. And so,
because I kept showing her videos of the dogs, and she was like, "Oh my gosh!" And there we go.
Anytime she comments on any of my stuff, it's always when the dogs are there.
Right.
So, and like I said, I get that.
Or your ugly shoes. Yeah.
Yeah. Or my ugly shoes.
Yeah. She's pretty brutal to you.
That's fair. I get it.
I get it too.
It happens. But Macy's fucking 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
English Mastiff life expectancy is like 8 to 9.
It's crazy. I was just talking to somebody in the office about it. Like, she's an anomaly.
Yeah.
And then, like, the one time I was over here, she's running up and down the stairs outside like nothing.
Still does. It's wild. As a matter of fact, I believe she's becoming more playful in her old age. Like, she's constantly, half the time when she's barking like that, it's because she wants me to come in the living room and
play with her.
Yes.
That's probably why it's why she's doing so well. It's because of how active and Bruce obviously keeps her.
Yeah.
Now, I know she's coming up on like the record as far as
world record is 15. The oldest recorded English Mastiff to ever live was 15 years old, and she's 13, going 13 and a half soon.
Wow.
So I mean, I think she's got a legitimate.
I don't think anybody would disagree with this. No.
Yeah. The reason I brought that up was I was going to say 10 years from now when people are like, remember when he used to have dogs barking? Macy's still going to be alive. She's going to be 23.
Not just beat the record. I mean, smash the record.
She's going to go to 30. She's going to double that shit.
Yep.
I'm going to go out there and yell at them real quick. So
I'll be here.
You just entertain the camera.
That's pretty much.
This is unbelievable.
Uh-huh.
Now you just have fun talking to everybody by yourself.
All 2 people logged in. I hope you're being entertained.
You should see the solution I just came up with.
I mean, I felt like the vacuum and the cart were a pretty good solution to start.
I locked him in the living room.
He doesn't have gates. He has a roller island and a vacuum cleaner boxing into 200-pound dogs.
Hey, man.
They're like kids, though. Like, you literally can box. I mean, our pit reboxed them with these little kid desks that are like 2 feet tall. Like, I mean, this dog could leap over it, no problem. She just stands there and looks at him like, I can't believe you just blocked me. And
I know.
And she doesn't even remotely attempt to get out.
Right.
So perplexing.
Bruce would do the same thing.
Unless someone came in.
Macy legitimately couldn't get over it anymore. But
that's fair.
But Bruce he's like unbelievably athletic. That's what's crazy. He's the young one. He's only 7.
Right.
But like even for 7, he's like...
Oh, yeah.
Incredible health.
Oh, absolutely.
Like an incredible...
Well, like you said, what's 8? You said 8's the
8 to 9?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's what's weird is like Macy's like almost double his age, and he's technically getting close to life expectancy.
Right.
So, I don't know, when you put it like that, it's pretty fucking wild.
It is.
Anyway. Yeah, so... let's just talk about you for a minute.
All right.
So we're going to talk about Joel for a minute. Like I said, I'm not going to turn this into an interview, but as I mentioned, Joel is my chiropractor. Basically 4:30 every Wednesday for the past like 6.5 years. I've been seeing
Ish. Yeah. Pretty crazy.
It is crazy. Finally fucking got my dad in there.
Yeah. Last week. Yeah. Awesome, dude.
Yeah, he's all right.
I can definitely see where you get it from.
Yeah.
He didn't have a nice thing to say about you, which was very entertaining. Nor do you of him. So it goes both ways. I'm not from a family of endearment either. So it's if we don't make fun of you, we don't like you.
No. My family is people on the surface. People look at my family and probably assume like super traditional.
Me, I would agree with same. I know we come from pretty similar backgrounds.
Yeah.
So
nothing traditional about my family at all.
That's so funny.
Yeah, not even close. It just looks like it. Like we're like the picture perfect literal picture, like photograph of a typical American family. We're not. Like, we're so far from it. Like, if I could explain to you the dysfunction that I experience with my family.
I don't think it's that.
A lot of them are probably watching.
I don't think it's like that, though.
No, I mean,
it's
not
just
terrible.
No, but it's. I get what you're saying. I think that's every family, though.
Probably.
There's no. I mean, it's dirty in the background, even relationship wise. Like.
Yeah. Well, it's the anomaly that is social media, for example.
I was just going to bring that up, too. Yeah. Absolutely. The front.
Right.
Absolutely.
You see what people want you to see.
Absolutely.
And even before there was social media, that still died.
Yeah.
Like the stories that people tell each other and talk about in real conversation, they're never telling you the shit story. Like where you got in a horrible shouting match and somebody threw something across the room.
Nobody goes to church and tells everyone how bad their family is.
No. You're right. That's true. And then now we just have a platform that
allows us to lie.
Yeah, like in the most abundant, vivid way with pictures and videos and stories where you're like in real time showing people what your life is like.
Yeah.
And it's not really ever like that.
No. I mean, me and you've had the conversation 100 times, but it's allowed narcissists a platform. Yeah. And paid them for it.
Right. And it's a shame.
It's horrible.
It is like there are people using social media for the exact,
it's not all bad.
Right.
No.
People using it for the exact purposes that it was created for.
Yeah.
Initially.
Yeah.
Which was just to be able to keep in touch.
Communicate.
With people. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it was hard to communicate with your cousin who lives in Wisconsin, which I have several.
Yeah. Or keep up with your high school friends when they move, or college friends when they move back home and stuff like that.
Legitimately call each other on the phone in order to keep in touch, and it's like, how many fucking people do I have to remember to call?
Right.
And when, and how many birthdays do I have to physically write down in a notebook or whatever?
Absolutely. Email, everything else. Yeah.
That's how easy it is to lose touch with people, or easy it was to lose touch with people.
Absolutely.
Now it's impossible to lose touch with people.
Nope.
I kind of wish I could lose touch with people.
That's the funny part about it. We all felt like we need to be more connected, and now we all feel like we need to disconnect. It's like before we traveled to see people, now we travel to get away from them. I mean, it's really the truth. I mean, you went to the treehouse vacation. That's the exact when were those a thing before social media?
You're exactly right. And I just told, man, that's funny. I just told that story to a client recently, and like, I gotta say, I hate that story because I don't even know if you remember the details. Oh no, I remember it vividly. Yeah, I was the worst. Man. Yeah, like this is me being totally transparent and vulnerable and admitting that in a past relationship I was a piece of fucking shit on my birthday.
Hey, I was gonna say it was your birthday. Yeah,
I didn't have like ill intentions. Long story short, I'm gonna tell the story. But I'm not going to tell the whole thing because it's super long and it would be so boring and people would immediately turn this whole fucking podcast off and never listen to it again if I told the whole thing because it's so boring. But so my previous girlfriend, my most recent girlfriend, many of the people watching will know who I'm speaking of. She's a saint. She's awesome. I have nothing but positive things to say about her.
Oh, she's amazing.
She is. She's the best. Yeah. We just didn't work out. Sucks. It is what it is. But for my birthday, she got... her and I, she got us these. I don't know what you even call them. Well, they're called tree houses, but they're just these like really nice, kind of luxurious cabins that are built way up in trees. Yeah. They overlook, I guess it's the Missouri River. I don't know. They overlook a river, one of the rivers, in the woods. It's just like really cool scenery. But exactly like he's saying, like we traveled to get the fuck away from.
Right. No internet.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't even think you had cell phone service, if I remember right.
That was the problem. We had nothing.
Right, and you couldn't charge your phone and all that. Yeah.
You have no access to anything.
Right.
When I say you don't have when I say you didn't have Wi-Fi, people are like, "Oh, you're just being a little bitch." And I'm like, "Listen, man, I know it sounds like that. It totally does.
No.
But we forget how much we rely on the internet for fucking everything."
Well, our work, I mean, both of us, like, we have to be connected, otherwise work just fades quickly.
Well, when you're on a quote-unquote getaway vacation, you also need some form of entertainment.
For sure.
The entertainment value of those tree houses is if you're like a very outdoorsy,
right?
Like you can go hunting, you can go kayaking on the river, you can go floating, you can hike, you can do all, whatever, any outdoor activity you can think of is just right there. Well, my birthday's March 2nd. It's coming up soon. Now that all of you know this, you better fucking remember it and give me at least a card with cash in it.
Today's my birthday.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Are you 33 or 34?
4.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Wow. How cool. I did this on purpose.
Of course.
I was like,
way to act surprised.
I was just giving him this incredible opportunity to be on the future number one podcast in the world for his birthday.
I was literally like all week, I can't believe this is working out this way.
Incredible. Wow. Fucking happy birthday.
Well, thank you.
That's awesome. So you're a couple weeks older than me.
Yeah, it shows.
I don't know that we've established that.
Oh yeah. No, we've talked about it because how much we're on the same page and we're almost exactly the same age.
Correct.
One of my other best friends, his birthday is today. I mean, it's creepy how many people's birthday are all like. I mean, exact age is like.
It's the horoscope thing. That's what
it only makes sense. It only makes sense.
It makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm. I'm like teetering between 2 horoscopes. I've been told.
I don't
know. Depending which calendar you look at.
I have no fucking clue.
That's why I have a split personality, I guess.
I'm gonna get back to what we were talking about.
No, go right ahead.
But I also want to point out that one time back in the day when I was probably 19, 20, had a fake ID, was in California, and I tried to get into this bar with my fake ID.
Yeah.
And it was very believable. And the guy's looking at it, and he starts questioning me. "What's your street address?" And I'm like, Pfft.
Oh, we've had this. I remember we've had this conversation.
No problem. I've recited this in my head 1,000 times. "What's your sign?"
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Right. I went to a casino, typical casino. What is it? Is it 18? No, 21?
Yeah.
What is that? What it is? Okay. Go to the casino. They ask the stupid questions. Same thing. Birth date, address, horoscope sign. I start laughing. I literally look at the dude. I was like, do I look like a guy who knows my horoscope? So he starts laughing. He goes, "What's your birthstone?" And I literally like start laughing in his face. I'm like, "It's purple. I don't know the name of it. It's purple." And he just, "Sir, you don't know your birth?" I'm like, right. Do normal guys with muscles know their birthstone? Like, let's be honest.
I didn't, like, when he asked me that question, I'm like, dude,
I laughed so hard. I thought he was joking. I legitimately thought, and he was looking at me like that. And I'm like, my birthday's February 3rd, whatever day that falls on is my horoscope.
Yeah.
Like, what like, seriously?
It was probably the fact that I was in Southern California. That's they tend to, people that live
I was here.
They tend
I was here.
People in Southern California tend to believe a lot of really goofy shit. But
not touching that one. To my South Cal friends, I'm not gonna dive in and hate on you.
Dude, I got friends out there too. I don't have
any friends. I'm just pretending that I have fans. Yeah. I don't want to. If I do have one fan, I don't want to lose that one by upsetting their horoscope.
I don't even care.
You know so many people. Yeah, it doesn't matter for you.
Many people out in Southern California. You guys believe some really stupid shit. I'm sorry, but anyway, it's okay. So the fucking tree houses. When I say, like, we rely on Wi-Fi so much more than we think. So again, outdoorsy shit. That's that's this big selling point. Well, I'm not like a big outdoorsman. She's not a big outdoor. I mean, she's not, but she is. Like, she likes to go hiking and shit. And, and as of now, I do too. But
I don't.
I don't do other outdoors shit. And that's like the purpose of this place. And March 2nd, it's still pretty. It's like cold outside.
Right.
it had just snowed recently, like right before that. It was really fucking cold. So a lot of the outdoor stuff that you would want to do, it's like not fun.
No.
You're freezing the entire time.
Absolutely.
So we were basically just stuck inside this cabin. And then once the sun goes down, and again in March that happens relatively early, the scenery's gone.
Right.
Pitch black outside.
Right. Nothing else to do.
You have no TV. You have no radio. You can't get on Spotify and
Nope.
stream music. There's a TV with no access to any form of cable, not one single channel.
Just your basic.
They had a DVD player in there. But
Okay.
you had to go down to the front desk, which you had to drive there. What is this?
It's ghosts.
Shit. SD card full. You gotta be fucking kidding me. I don't even know how to do this.
This is like this is how the YouTube stuff goes.
Dude, this is so bad.
No.
Well, how do you delete shit off the fucking SD card? I was clearly not prepared for this. And now it's just playing the video. That's not what I want. I have to delete stuff, but I thought I did that. We're going to literally just pause the whole thing.
That's fine.
I'm going to stop recording. Record. And now we're good. We're recording.
Gotcha.
No, I don't have the shoes to do the clapper. So that's that. And click start live. All right. The person that I have doing all the editing for me really has their work cut out for them this time.
We got it. We got it though.
It's gonna be seamless. I can tell.
This was a great learning experience.
I know, and I can already look at the camera and tell that it's not right.
It's a lot better.
It's probably better.
No, it's a lot better.
But it still needs to do a little bit of that. I think that makes a difference.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hopefully. Okay. Like I said, the person that's going to be doing my editing on this one really has their work.
God love them. God love them.
If they can make this look seamless and sound seamless, where they don't realize we just took like a 25-30 minute break to figure out a bunch of shit that
SD card full.
Yeah, neither one of us really even understands very well. Then
we got it.
They're definitely going to be worth what I'm paying them, which is $0.
Oh yeah, they're already worth it.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so where was I?
We were on vacation. We were in a tree house.
Yeah.
You're a piece of shit. We had the whole thing.
I was pointing out.
I have a very weird memory. I remember things very vividly.
Yeah, I think I had it too.
Yeah.
I was pointing out the fact that like we rely on the internet,
Wi-Fi for everything. Right.
So
right. Nighttime comes. There's nothing to do. We rely on Wi-Fi for everything now.
Yeah, we were in a room, a blank, just a room. Just imagine like a hotel room, for example, except that hotel room has no television. You can't get on your phone and stream music. You can't watch YouTube videos. You can't listen to a podcast. There's nothing you can do. Like our options were to like sit and look at each other.
Right.
And it's like, dude, we could have done that in my living room at home.
Right. Saved ourselves a lot of money.
Yeah, it was like $300 a night.
Right.
We were supposed to stay 2 nights, and I was like, I'm already going fucking crazy. It's my birthday. I have people calling and texting, and also the Arnold Classic. This was 2019. Yeah, so it was almost exactly 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So the Arnold Classic fell on March 2nd.
There was no Arnold last year. Yeah.
Correct. So the Arnold fell on my exact birthday. So like the second biggest event in the sport that my life revolves around was happening, and it's my birthday. Everyone's trying to get a hold of me for to say happy birthday, or my parents are calling or whatever. And not only do I not have Wi-Fi or the internet, I don't even have service. They can't even send me a text message.
Right.
I wasn't even receiving texts. I wasn't receiving phone calls. Now I'm like, from their perspective, I'm ignoring them. Right.
But you're kind of anxious, I'm assuming.
Oh my God, dude. I get anxious even for like a microcosm of that. Like if you sent me a text message and my phone died, which never happens, I don't ever allow that to happen.
Right.
Like knowing that I have that text message from you and that I don't have the ability to respond
reply
to it when I'm capable of it,
right,
that gives me anxiety.
Absolutely.
When I have like fucking almost everybody I know trying to get a hold of me to tell me happy birthday and whatever. And I also, you know, I had business, which, yeah, I can take a couple days off.
Right.
But
easier said than done.
It is
I know that. I know that to a
T. That's not how I operate.
Me either.
Especially considering like what my job entails. If I was doing manual labor, then I'm totally fine taking 2 days off.
It's just the upkeep. It's what I tell people all the time. Like, it's so much easier for me to just maintain the level I'm doing than take 2 days off and try to catch up.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, fuck. And not only that, I can go into detail about stories of clients leaving, no longer working with me, and like breaking their commitment to work with me for like, for example, one time I didn't respond to a check-in on Easter Sunday.
Right. Oh, I remember. Yeah.
I'm not going to say the person's name.
Right.
Some people know him, but they sent me their check-in on Easter Sunday, and I didn't respond on Easter Sunday. And the next thing I knew, I was also, not only that, I was at a client's show in Indianapolis that Saturday. Easter Sunday, I woke up. I was also 3 or 4 weeks out from my own show.
Right.
So on Easter Sunday, I woke up in a hotel in Indianapolis where I was there for business.
Right.
Had to drive 4 hours home, train, do cardio, change clothes, and then go to my family's house for Easter Sunday, and didn't respond to their check-in on that day.
Yep.
And that was apparently grounds for them to no longer work with me.
No, I get messages from people Friday night, past hours, everything. I'll respond Saturday morning, and they're just like, oh, I've already found somebody else. You're just like...
That's what I'm saying.
You're like, from 11 o'clock last night till 6 a.m. this morning, you found... Like, I don't believe that. I think you're just mad that I didn't reply to you.
Exactly.
And that's the part people don't understand. Like, if you're not on top of it and miss one little thing, you can miss out. Opportunity's just gone like that. For Expectations there now.
Yeah. So
it is.
All of these things are kind of like collapsing upon me. I'm like, I can't have... there's no phone calls. There's no text. I can't respond to clients who may not know it's my birthday. And if I'm not going to be able to do that for 2 days, I could literally lose... thousands of dollars of business, future business.
Right.
And not only that, on top of that, like word of mouth travels fast. He doesn't respond to check-ins.
Oh, yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Instantly.
You know? So there's that in my mind. Not in addition to the fact that I'm, for the first time since like 1990 something, in a room that's just completely fucking dead silent.
Right.
Nobody watching right now has actually experienced this unless they've chosen to, and even if they do, it's for a very short period of time, I assure you.
And they still have the opportunity to get out of it if they want to.
Anytime they want.
Right.
They can turn on Spotify, they can watch TV, they can scroll Instagram, whatever they want to do, they have that capability.
They're just choosing not to. Right.
Exactly. There's a difference between choosing not to
and being forced to. I get it. Yeah.
Yes. And so it's the same thing with dieting. Like it's if you're choosing to do it, knowing that you can cheat anytime you want, it's not that bad.
No.
When you're forced to and you have no option.
And you have a timeline.
That's where it's like, fuck, that's stressful.
Yep.
So it's the same concept. So anyway, long story short, I said I wasn't going to tell all the details of the story, and I fucking...
And here we are.
Gone way too far. That's why this podcast is called Sidetracked, because I get sidetracked.
That's all right.
Easily.
That's all right.
But, and I'm going to probably say that 10 times on every episode I ever do. So long story short, I was like about to have a fucking panic attack. Like her and I are just in this room, like
your anxiety is just building up. Yeah.
I'm like, what are we gonna do?
Right.
She's like, I don't know. We're gonna I bought food. We're gonna cook. I'm like, okay, that's gonna be fun for 15 minutes.
Right.
And then what happens when we're done eating that food?
Right.
I go to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning. This is like 7 p.m.
Oh yeah.
I'm already like, what?
You have your whole day ahead of you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna do? And she's the one that spent the money on it. It was her thought. It was an amazing idea.
I know. Again, when we were talking about it the week before, I mean, we were both like excited for you to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like a really
it sounds great
thing. It was an amazing idea. And even the other thing is, like, she didn't know that it was like this. She didn't know that it was completely remote.
Well, I remember you telling me, because they advertised there was internet and stuff, but you only had internet when you were at like the lodge.
Correct.
Yeah.
The lodge or the front desk, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, he had Wi-Fi there, the owner.
Right.
And even that Wi-Fi sucked, because what I did was, like, I drove down and I was like, hey man, I hate to be like this, but like, do you guys have like, you know, Wi-Fi? And
Right.
it's like, oh yeah, I got a Wi-Fi. Oh, you know, here's the thing. Here's the password.
Right.
Whew.
Thank God.
Salvaged it. We're good. So I log in and get in on the Wi-Fi, and it's like barely working in the thing. And I'm,
Right.
Must have given me the one for our specific cabin.
Right.
Drive up there, it'll be good.
Right.
The further I drove away from the front desk, it was just gone.
Yeah.
So I was like, so I went back, drove back down. I'm like, did you mean to give me the Wi-Fi for this building? He's like,
Right.
that's the only Wi-Fi we have. I'm like, so the rooms, I get nothing.
Nothing.
He's like, no, I mean, you're out in the middle of the fucking woods. What did you
Right.
expect? I didn't expect anything.
Right.
This was a surprise.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know what I was getting. Like, when you go onto the website of this place, it tells you, it gives you directions that it tells you to print the directions, because your GPS won't
work when you get in. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this place is in the middle of nowhere. And again, that sounds cool until you really realize, like, I have none of the luxuries that I rely on all day, every day of my
Exactly.
life. Anyway, I don't know how we got down that rabbit hole, but
Well, we were talking about disconnecting.
we were.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you know, one story to the next.
Yeah. This podcast makes me want to fucking disconnect, that's for sure, because there's a lot of things that are connected here, and I don't know how to use any of them, and that's
I
why
mean,
we had to.
the lighting looks good.
Yeah, the lighting's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I still don't know what I'm doing with that. For you guys watching, you can't obviously see because the lighting is behind you, but I just have two big lights just shining, one at him and one at me, and I hope it's working. I hope it looks good. There's probably ways to make this way better, but I don't know how to do it. I don't know what I'm
It'll
doing.
evolve.
What I do know how to do is press record and just bullshit.
And just talk. And that's what we both do for a living.
Yeah, dude. It's exactly what we both do for a living, kind of.
Yeah.
People don't literally pay us to bullshit, but
Sometimes. You'd be surprised how many people come in the office and, like, swear to, people don't believe me when I say this. There are people who sit down and they're like, I don't need you to do anything. I just need to talk to you. It happens all the time. And I'm always very perplexed by that. Saddened by it some nights, to be honest with you.
Well, I will say this, and the reason that you were like, I mean, obviously Steve was just the way that all came together was too easy to have him as my first guest.
Right.
The reason that you were my very next option was because we've basically been doing a podcast every week for the last 6.5 years. Just we didn't have any equipment to record it on.
I've been presented to have a podcast in my room. Like, multiple people have been like, you need to just set up a camera, because you know, people on here might know I do a ton in real estate, so I have a lot of real estate people come in and we talk about things, and they're literally like, that 30 minutes people would pay huge money to listen to, and it's because it's so natural, I think, that it just like it sounds so good at the time. I don't know the second you set the microphone up if that dissipates or not.
It's a good question. Well, I think the longer I think you should definitely do it.
Yeah.
Even if it's just audio, where you
Right.
just have this,
It's the only way it would work. Yeah. If it was just audio.
so that it's not intimidating. You just
Exactly.
press the record and then you just go, because the headphones aren't even really
No,
necessary.
not in that situation.
No, I love the headphones.
In this situation, it's perfect. Yeah, not in mine.
The coolest thing about the headphones, and my favorite thing about the podcast, the idea of a podcast in general, is that I'm speaking directly into this microphone, which is connected directly to your fucking ears.
Right.
There's no distraction.
Absolutely.
You can't. It's not a conversation where you're doing something, I'm fucking around on my phone, and
Right.
actively listening when I'm really only hearing a third of what you're actually saying.
Right.
There's
Having
a
dogs
screen
bark in the
front of me.
background. Yeah.
We do have that, the fucking dogs. Like I said, if there's any investors out there, a studio would be fucking lovely.
I think we soundproof the door. I think we're good after that.
That's like the least soundproofed aspect of it.
No, that's what I mean. I think we just soundproof that, and we have the whole thing figured out.
Could be right.
Yeah.
Probably right. But yeah, but like I said, like every single week, I need to get shit done. Like, I'm a beat up former athlete, current bodybuilder. My body's beat to shit. So like, I need to get work done every week.
For sure.
Whether preemptively or I'm always in some kind of pain.
Right.
Try to eradicate that. But aside from that, it is cathartic, and like that's like I said, the reason I wanted to do a podcast is because I thrive in a situation where I'm having an interpersonal conversation. texting is not an interpersonal conversation.
Zero. We've learned that.
Even talking on the phone isn't.
No.
Anytime I'm actually...
It's more, but not as much.
Sure.
Yes.
But anytime I'm having a conversation, even on the phone, I'm doing 7 other things. And what is happening on the phone is really probably not even my main priority 99% of the time.
Absolutely. But that goes back to exactly what we were just talking about. Like, people want to disconnect from their devices and electronics, but people are literally, especially now with Corona and that going on, are literally like yearning for human interaction.
100%.
And they don't even know it.
Yes.
But they gravitate towards it so quickly. And the gym, which we experience, that's the part that, like, I think all of our eyes have been open to how social that is for everybody and how much people miss it. Me and you don't necessarily as much, right, because we're so social and still around people with our jobs, but those, especially elderly people at that, I mean, it's crazy.
Oh, it's a social gathering. Even for, I mean, there's some relatively high level competitors who are going to the gym, who in the back of their mind, they're going there to improve their physiques. But really, when they get there, it's time to bullshit with my friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it may, I mean, for most people, it's the only part of their day where they are connected to people. Because even at their job, there's people around, but they're not connected to them.
Well, not only that, like you mentioned with this whole COVID thing, there's such an abundance of people working from home now. So that, like, even if you're normally in an office setting where you are interacting with the people, your coworkers or whatever, even now, most people aren't even doing that.
No, but if they are there, they're still not allowed to be around each other. Right. So you're still further separated. I mean, schools the same way. I mean, even in the colleges, they're in class, but they're not interacting. And so that whole thing, we're learning at how important that is.
100%. Yeah, it is.
It's the one thing we can take away from this.
Yeah, it's a interpersonal conversation, one-on-one. Is just such an uncommon thing these days, and anytime it organically happens, I just leave with like this overwhelming sense of euphoria, like I just did something fucking amazing, when really it's the most basic thing on planet Earth. It is,
but like, I don't know, it's because usually the things you're bringing up are what's on your mind, and you need to even just bounce them off somebody, because it's like somebody can say one small thing and connect the dots for you on everything that you've been trying to figure out.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of conversation, and it's lost, I mean, right, immensely these days.
Well, and that's, I think part of the reason people gravitate towards certain things on television is because, like sports, for example, is just people giving opinions on sports, professional sports, college sports, whatever it is, and you're just watching people have conversations. The difference is those conversations are heavily scripted. Those conversations are like,
they're guided. Yeah,
they have bullet points, they have teleprompters half the time, like they researched, and
when they're on commercial break, they're not just BSing, they're queuing up what's going to happen next.
100%. Yeah, so that's not even really the same thing.
No, but it feels organic, but it isn't organic. Yeah,
they do a great job of making it feel organic,
feel seamless. Yes,
it's not, and that's why I think people like listening to podcasts, is again, they don't have a lot of opportunities to have these interpersonal conversations that they actually crave. So now they want to just listen to other people do it.
No, I mean on YouTube, some of the most popular videos, I was just talking to somebody about it the other day. It's what I'm going to do next time I see my grandparents in Florida, is people are watching YouTube videos of kids interviewing their grandparents. Like what? Like, who, in your head, who cares? But I mean, really, it's like you get to hear the whole life experiences.
Yeah, and I think that's cool as fuck.
Right.
I've never even heard of that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you're just asking them like simple questions. What did you do as a kid? What sports did you guys play? Who got together and did what? What clothes did you wear? Just things like that. And I mean, they'll have millions of views, and it's just like, I think it's one of those things people are like, man, I wish I would have had that conversation with my grandma or with my mom or whatever.
And so that swings back in the direction.
It swings right back to this, yeah.
And it goes back to social media. If you count things like YouTube or podcasts as social media, it's not kind of.
It is, yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah.
That's another positive. Like,
it is.
We now have access to basically timeless things. Like, even after so when those grandparents pass away, they'll still always be able to refer back to that cool conversation that they had when they were little kids with their grandma or their
No, for sure. Instead of a eulogy, you could play that video.
Agree, yeah.
And I mean, it's going to be so much more powerful.
Yeah, that's going to have a much bigger impact on people's lives than just someone going up there. And again, having a scripted.
Right. No, my mom's best friend, because my great grandmother came over here from Italy. So for a school project, I mean, God knows how many years ago, interviewed her, just asking her a simple question, you know, how was the boat ride? Yeah. Like, what did you do when you got here? Like, could you say anything in English? Like, all those. And we were listening to that cassette. And I mean, you just instantly feel connected. It's all those things you're like, I wish I would have asked those questions.
For sure. That is, yeah, I would have never even thought of something like that. I love that. I think it's amazing.
No, it's awesome. But that's the connection I think people are getting with stuff like this. But I hope it opens people's eyes to start having those conversations. I
agree. I totally agree.
It's missing.
I like how we're kind of like doing a podcast about podcasts.
Podcasts, yeah. On the psychology of it, yeah.
I think it's kind of interesting though.
It is. I mean, it's like again, because we have so many conversations with people, I listen to things to get information.
Same.
But I think a lot of people listen to things because it's their only social interaction for themselves.
A lot of that is also people listening to things so that they can give their opinion on that thing.
Yeah.
Where they're not really listening so much.
No, they're waiting to argue in their head. Yeah.
100%. Or even if they agree, they're waiting for you to finish making your point so that they can give their point that adds to it.
Right. It's an argument, but not a conversation.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about real estate. You brought that up, and it was something that I definitely wanted to go over or just to discuss since it's something you've been heavily involved in for a long time, and you've been...
Yes, 6.5 years now, yeah.
Yeah. So what was it that caused you to want to get into that?
I mean, totally my pops. My dad worked the typical salaried job when I was young and then decided to open his own business. I was 13. I remember the whole thing so vividly. And then from there, a few years later, he had read some books. He did all his research. Presented my uncle with an idea, and they went in together, halfsies on a house, on a triplex. And went into it, and it was cool because like my dad manages it and my uncle does the work. And so I was 13, 14, 15 at that time as they were transitioning, or I'm sorry, I was 15, 16, 17 at that time transitioning in. And so I worked with my uncle, and then I was at home with my dad, so I saw like both sides of it. And so then from there, I knew it was something I wanted to do adjunct. And everything you read, you got to multi-stream your life. You have to. You can't have all your eggs in one basket. And so once Chiro did well, that's a whole long story in and of itself. I was in the process of purchasing something. It fell through, was at the time felt cataclysmic, but got that money back and was like, you know what, this is the opportunity, this is the time. And I just jumped in, and I mean, then here we are. I have 19, I think I have 19 houses now, like 20, depending how you count my units, because I have one place vacant. It's like 21 units.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
How many?
Yeah, there's one place that's like, it was like 5 units at one point. We're converting it to 2 units. So on my taxes, and then what it's actually going to be is kind of separated, but it's like 21 units.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's cool. And they're all paid for except for 3 now.
So by his 34th birthday, which is today.
Today, yeah.
You got all that. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and we just slowly moved our way up. So, you know, the first houses, downturn time, the first one was $16,500. The next one was $18,000. Then the next one I got at auction for $16,000.
These are the prices that you paid?
Mm-hmm, cash, yeah, at that time, yeah. And I had, from that business buyout, I had gotten $80,000 back. I worked myself to death my first 2 years in practice. I actually worked 5 different jobs. I had a night job. I had 2 weekend jobs. I mowed lawns, was doing chiro, and then was actually working for another chiro, helping him as well, and was able to save that up during that. Like I said, I was buying something. So yeah, just took all that. I bought into a bank, bought a ton of bank shares at that time, and then bought those properties cash.
It's insane.
Yeah, it was cool. It all worked out so well.
And so
didn't feel like it at the time, but yeah.
Here's the thing, like you and I've had 45-minute conversations every week for 6.5 years. We've never gone over that.
Right.
Who cares? There's a lot of things we haven't discussed. We're bullshitting about sports and stuff.
Absolutely.
Politics, sports. You get the typical
man alpha conversation. Yeah.
For sure. So we've never even discussed that.
Yeah.
I think just in the people, because obviously we know tons of the same people. There's a lot of the same.
We're in a really tight circle.
Exactly. And so I think a ton of those people who know you, probably none of them know what you just said. Maybe
No. Like I said, they were just mostly my real estate friends. Yeah, that's the conversations we've had. Yeah.
So there's this perception that like Joel's super successful, blah blah blah. Like, how often do you have people ask you questions thinking that you're just going to have like this simple answer for how you've created what you've done so that they can go use your template and go do the same
so
thing?
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people don't know. I don't push this, but people pay me now to help them start up.
Really?
That's like kind of my third branch of business that I started a while ago. I like I said, I don't really put it out there much. I'm so limited on time as it is. Like it's hard, but and everybody wants the simple answer, and there is none. And I mean, and it's such a cop-out answer, but like you gotta delve in, you gotta make the mistakes, all that. But obviously, the fear is there, of course. But yeah, everybody thinks like, oh my gosh, like boom, he has the answer, and that's not the case. And I always tell people, if anybody tells you that, they're lying to themselves and lying to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and on a smaller scale, I get the same kind of thing sometimes.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
And I'm like,
it's the same on the chiropractic side. People think like, what did you do? And it's like, I did what worked for me.
Right.
The question is figuring that out for you.
Right, and that, like you said, you just have to dive directly into it. If you have an idea and you want to do it, whether it's go to school and become a fucking chiropractor, or I'm going to buy 21 houses.
Yeah.
Which, of course, nobody starts out probably saying that specifically, but buy one house and then expand. But you have to just fucking do it, and then you have to do all the work that it entails.
Yep.
And nothing is as simple as,
no.
It's not like buying a house, because I have a rental property myself.
Yeah, you fell into that, yeah.
Yeah, like I lived in it. And then when I moved here, I was like, okay, I'm just going to use that as a rental.
Yeah, and that's kind of how most people start out. Yeah. That's the conversation you have the most with people.
That's the easy route.
It is.
The way I did it is by far the easiest
It is,
route.
And your timing was perfect, unknowingly. Yeah. You bought in a low time and then moved out in a good time.
I got lucky.
Yeah. I was the same. I mean, I say luck, but timing. It's either way. Yeah, your timing was good.
Part of the reason that I'm in that situation, like if I wouldn't have been luckily fallen into that situation, I might not even be doing it.
No.
The way that I'm doing it.
Right.
Either way, even doing it the easy way, it's like buying a house is not like buying a pair of shoes. You don't just like hand over the money.
That's the conversation. I devastate people with the first conversation. Yeah. I have investors who have their clients pay me, and the investor even tell me, just go ahead. I know you're going to devastate them. Go ahead, and I do. And I mean you can hear their jaw drop over the phone.
Right. There's just so much shit. It's
the first one is the hardest one, and you hear the story about every business like, oh, I went to 10 people and they all closed the door. I mean like I said, my family did this. I knew what I needed to do. I sat with my CPA, paid him money. I had my EIN set up. I had my LLC set up. I had a good chunk of cash in the bank. I had an established business for 2 years. Everything that they tell you need. I went to 15 banks, sat down, literally laughed at almost at every single one. Now they call me and I'll even tell them, I remember what you said to me that day. I will not come back to your bank. And it's not what you said, it was how you said it. You would just scoff and be like, you're smarter not to get involved in this. We don't like dealing. We wouldn't even have the conversation. And they'd be like, you need to do these things first. And I'd be like, I have it all. It's in the folder. They wouldn't even open it. So like that's how this goes.
Yeah. And so the answer to all the people that are asking the question of how do you become successful, and I don't even
There's no answer to that.
Of the success he's seen, and he doesn't even scratch the surface of success of where he wants to go, or
not even close.
Would want to go.
Not even close.
And the short answer is that you have to fucking work your balls off.
You have to do it,
and you aren't gonna know half of what you need to know going into it. You just learn along the way.
You do. And on the other side of that is don't just jump in. Like almost a year, like I'm moving into something it still just scares the crap out of me. I've been studying it for a year, and it's a huge step, and I still know, and I literally have a guy who I'm talking to daily who's been doing it for 5 years, and I'm picking his brain, and every day I'm learning things, and I'm still going to make 100 mistakes, but at least I minimized all the mistakes I could have minimized by doing all the things in the background.
Right.
People just come in, and that's the biggest thing. They come to me, this is what I want to do. I have $10,000, like, let's go. And it's like, whoa, we're 6 months from even like getting to that point. Like, there's so many conversations we need to have before we just jump into this.
Right. I think people get an idea.
They do.
Get really excited about that idea.
And then they get discouraged, and then they just stop.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's how it is with so many things.
No, 100%. Yeah.
I'm guilty of that in many different ways myself. Yeah. Like, even like when I bought this house, the purpose of this house, as most people know, is to I only bought this house to put the gym in.
Yeah.
Which that was my biggest like entrepreneurial decision. Like, I'm gonna invest a shitload of money and turn my entire basement into a gym, and I'm gonna train clients there, and it's gonna be, my whole business is gonna be run out of my house with very limited overhead, etc. It was just,
right,
seemingly brilliant idea. And it's like you get to the point of actually doing, like, when you start thinking about it, the excitement is like,
it overrides everything.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Through the roof. Like, the night that I came up with the idea, I'll never forget. It was, and I made this shit happen.
Oh, me and you had the conversation. You floated in. You were so excited. I mean, you were, I don't think I've ever seen you that happy.
No, and I fucking did everything in my power to make this happen. A little bit of background for people who don't know. I came up with the idea. Well, for one, I do want to give some credit to my buddy Mike, who did this before me in Chicago. SD card full again.
Her. Yeah, there's no way.
I guess I just need a massive SD card. We're just gonna go fucking.
That's all right
from here, dude. Whatever.
That's fine.
At least we'll have the audio.
That's
There's
fine.
Nothing we can do.
No, it's fine. You got. I mean, you're filming it. You can pull it off that.
Video, yeah. Hi guys. I wonder if people. I hate that I can't respond to people that are actually like
messaging on here. Right.
Need like a magnifying glass.
I guess you could have a tablet set up here with both of it. Maybe I'm not sure. I'm sure there's a way to do it.
I don't know. Who knows?
My expertise is not in tech.
Not. So, but anyway, so for people who, I guess I don't have to look at the camera anymore. That sucks.
We can look at each other.
Pretty. So for anybody who doesn't know, like, so again, I want to back up and give props to my buddy Mike, who did this before me, who kind of
in Chicago.
The idea, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Mike Lacombe in Chicago.
Pitbull.
Swollen Pitbull on Instagram. He did this before me, and it was a massive success for him, and he's fucking killing it out there. He's doing all kinds of stuff too. He'd be another one that would be fun to sit
He's
down.
An awesome dude. I've met him a couple times. He wouldn't remember me at Junior Nats, but awesome dude.
Yeah, he's the man. He beat me. We became friends because he beat me in the overall at a show in Phoenix 6 years ago.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so, but anyway, that's not relevant. But so the idea I had, I wanted to branch out and do something along the same lines of what I needed, a new stream of income. I was only doing like online.
You were getting a little burnt out on
stuff. That, and it just, social media diluted the industry so much.
That's what I mean. You just needed a refresher. Yeah.
When I started prepping people, dude, there was just, and you know this too.
Oh yeah.
There's only a handful of people.
Oh, for sure.
Doing contest prep. In St. Louis, there's like 4 or 5 total contest.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, it was like Kit Kitson is all you heard.
Mark Olson.
And then, well, he came in afterwards, and then Spicer was working at the facility with him, because I was at West County Barbell, or West County Health and Fitness. I mean, with all those guys, yeah.
Yeah,
and that was it.
Yeah, when I kind of emerged on the scene with as it pertained to contest prep, I had very little competition, and I didn't even think of it as competition.
Oh, and it wasn't.
There's so many people.
Absolutely. I mean, Kit couldn't keep up with it.
No,
I was there, and I mean, it was insane. I mean, the lines of people, because he was just run behind, because it just never ended.
Exactly. I think Mark was in the same boat. And
afterwards, yeah. Mark just caught overflow, and then you came in,
And I came on the scene, and it was just basically mainly just us. That was who. If you wanted to have a coach, a local coach, and you lived in St. Louis, we were it.
Yes.
And now, fuck. If I tried to list off everyone who's charging people for contest prep just in St. Louis right now, I would lose track at like over 100.
Me and you are engulfed in the industry. I mean, as deep as you could be in the industry, we don't even know know everybody just around here.
No, it's unbelievable.
It is.
It blows my mind. Wow.
Goods and bads, yeah.
Almost all bads.
It is.
A high threshold of bads, because it's a bunch of people just see, and this is not just bodybuilding. This is any industry.
No, it's my industry. I mean, and every industry I'm in, it's what it is.
My brother's a photographer, so
that's the worst one. That's the worst.
Seemingly so easy to be a photographer. You buy a camera and you push the button.
Right. You flip your phone upside down, take a picture of your shoes, and everybody's amazed.
Hey man, that picture fucking rules.
It does. I'm just saying. Now you're gonna get a big head and be like, I can do that all the time. I can do it. I have a light. Clearly,
all I got to do is turn on a light and click the button, and it's a fucking photograph, right? That's all. And now I can put it in my. This is the point I'm trying to make. Now I can put it in my Instagram bio. I'm a photographer. DM for pricing. DM for inquiries. I can undercut everyone else's prices now because I have no.
You have no overhead.
No overhead except for the couple $100 I spent on my camera from Walmart, and
that's better than everybody else. Yeah.
And I'm already, I already have a job waiting tables at the sushi restaurant,
right,
Clayton. So I'm making enough money to support myself anyway. Now there's 9,000 photographers. And
right.
Now there's 9,000 fucking contest prep coaches. And
yes.
Everybody's. That's one of the bad things about social media is now everyone thinks they're an expert and thinks they can charge people money for everything. So the point that I was getting to was that there was just so many coaches, there weren't enough fucking clients to go around.
No, I remember the dip. Yeah, because I'm sure people don't understand. My office, we talk the whole time. It's not this in and out deal. So I mean, that was the conversation me and you had for like months going into this.
Yeah, and it sucked because I was trying.
And you could see it wearing on you. Yeah.
I was trying my best not to make excuses because I'm like, dude, okay, my social media presence is better than it's ever been.
It was.
And the content is so much better. I'm doing more of it.
Your prepping was going better. Your clients were doing the best they ever had. You had high level clients competing at insanely big shows.
Right.
And everything was going off.
And quite frankly, it's still this way. Like,
oh no, it is.
The quality of the clients, like the success rate and the way that these clients look and all this is better than it's ever been.
Well, it came back around, right?
But still, the abundance of inquiries that I get is still very, very, but way below where it used to be.
Right.
And I didn't even try back then.
Right.
It was just easy. Like it came to me. I didn't have to like really market myself much. They were knocking down the door. Like I got to a point before where I only took contest prep clients, and even if you have I didn't even take first time competitors. I turned them away because I had too many people.
Right.
Now I'm like, does your grandma's had a hip replacement and she needs to like lose 10 pounds? Yeah,
I'm
send
in.
her my way.
I'm in.
Absolutely.
I deal with this all the time.
I'll give you a discount for the referral.
Right.
You know what
right.
I mean? Like I'm trying to get anyone.
I get it.
Because there's too many people doing what I do now.
I get it.
And so anyway, the point is. Sidetracked again.
No, it's okay.
I was like, okay, I need to do something different, and so, of course, right along the same lines, very organically, I can just start training people.
Right, and you had people doing it,
yes,
in that level, Tim John and stuff like that, but not with their own gym.
For sure.
Yeah,
so I was
but dueling it.
I used to kind of be resistant to the idea.
No, you were heavily resistant again. Yeah,
for sure, and so I kind of. So to circle back to the Instagram thing, another horrible thing that happens because of social media is you have also personal trainers posting shit information about training.
Yeah, we don't even need to get sidetracked on that. It goes on. We could do a whole podcast on what you shouldn't do at the gym.
If you round to the nearest decimal point, 100% of the information you're finding about nutrition on social media is bullshit. So that was like I'm like, okay, I want to try to be the guy to correct this, even if it's just
a small percentage.
Yes, even if I can reach enough people to where it snowballs a little bit into people learning how to do things correctly. I'm not claiming I'm the only fucking guy. There's plenty of people out there.
Right,
good.
And again, we know them all around here.
Right.
Yeah.
Not even just locally though.
No.
Globally.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the problem. Is there's such a big net with social media that you have, even if you have what used to be a great number of people posting great information, the number of people posting shit information is going to
far outweighs it. And they usually have the bigger following.
Yeah.
And that's the craziest part. That's the most visible is some of the worst information.
And
you're seeing that with everything. Chiropractic. Yes. Real estate. Absolutely. Oh, no, absolutely.
You see, okay, they have 900,000 followers. Clearly, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people wouldn't follow them.
No. I mean, there's guys who wrote books locally who have one rental house that's failing.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. There's people that have written books on nutrition and training fairly locally that are insane. They have no clue what the fuck they're even talking about.
No, and people are online asking them questions, and you know me, I just stay out of it. Like, don't ruffle feathers online. I'm not the dude. I don't comment on hardly anything. Nothing, and I just sit back, and people in the industry are messaging you like you need to say something.
Yeah,
that's how bad it gets.
Right, and that was the point that I was at with training and stuff too.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I expanded. I bought the house to put the gym in it. Now it's also a podcast studio. Who knows what it's going to be next? But I don't even remember what the point was.
No, starting with the rental house. Yeah.
How quickly it all happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had the idea just in my head in like late September of 2018. And by February of 2019, the gym was in there.
It was boom, boom.
Like, I bought the fucking house. Like, I hit up my realtor the next day. Like, the day that I had the idea, the next morning, I called him. Matter of fact, I texted him at like 4. I didn't sleep that night at all.
You came in, like I said, you were floating. Like I had never seen you that excited. And I knew you were leaving the office and going to already look at houses. And I was even kind of like, whoa, like, let's slow down. You're like, no.
Nope.
And you had already talked to show me about equipment. And I mean, it wasn't just like an idea. This was like already the wheels were turning.
It was in there, dude. I was like, okay, I'm fucking actually going to do this.
Yeah.
The night I had the idea, it was late at night. And I had the idea, and I started looking on Zillow because that was my only. I couldn't ask my realtor to send me a list.
MLS in the middle of the night. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay.
My real estate agent would have sent you one, by the way, at 4 o'clock in the morning. In fact, my CPA and real estate agent I'm fairly confident if I call them right now, they both be up.
For sure.
Which is why I work with them, of course.
And my guy maybe too. He's a buddy of mine from high school. I just didn't want to bother him.
No, I get it. Yeah. So I bother mine all the time. I don't care.
Especially with something that was such a...
random thought. Right.
I'm on Zillow. I'm like, okay, I can afford this. I can do this. I'm going to do this. So first thing in the morning, I called Justin, my realtor, and I'm like, here's what I want to do. And he's like, okay, well, what do you want, like, out of the house? I'm like, I don't give a fuck. It'll be an upgrade from what I have as long as the basement is what I need it to be.
Right. And that's all you cared about.
It's the only thing.
It was. Yeah, I rember multiple times we talked about it. You're like, look at this basement. Yeah. It's like and there's only one picture, but I think it's going to be perfect.
So he's sending me lists of houses, and while he's doing that, then I'm getting a hold of Jeff from Show Me Weights, which for people who don't know, most of you probably don't. Show Me Weights is like a massive warehouse of gym equipment. They're just a huge gym equipment distributor in the Midwest, probably the biggest in the Midwest.
Oh, it's huge,
massive. And I'm good friends with Jeff, the owner. So I called him. I'm like, hey, can we sit down? I want to have a meeting. He's like, okay, what is this about? I'm like, it's too much to explain over the phone. I'm like, just let me know when you're available. He's like, I can do tomorrow. So I'm like, I'll be there tomorrow at 11 or whatever. So I sit down with him. I'm like, here's the idea. I tell him what I want to do. I'm like, what I want is for you to tell me I'm a fucking idiot. Just tell me just stop.
I know you said the same thing to me.
I said it to numerous people.
Yeah, just tell me.
Yeah, I'm like, I want you to be brutally honest. This, just because I know how people get, myself included. You get this idea and you're like, this is going to be my thing.
Yeah, and that's when your real friends step in.
Yep.
And either say yay or nay.
Exactly. And
I don't think you had many nays.
I didn't.
Yeah, I know you didn't have one for me.
My dad was the only nay.
That's That's right. You're right. Yeah, I remember that.
I can.
But he also supported you in it, though.
He did.
He said he didn't think it was a great idea, but he still supported you in it. Which says a lot.
He gave me every reason not to do it,
and then he still helped you.
But it's because, and he said this out loud. Like, he's like, you do have a history of doing shit that I think is stupid,
and it working out.
It work. So because you've proven that you can do that, I'm gonna go ahead and help. My dad financed it. I pay my dad for the gym. So he didn't just like buy it for me.
No.
Plus,
And I definitely didn't mean to infer that by any means.
My dad's profiting off of this.
Yeah. I mean, but my dad, is the same way. He'll be the whoa, and explain it to me, and then he'll be the dude in your corner.
100%.
But that's the difference between a good friend or parent and not one.
For sure. And so I sat down with Jeff, told him what I wanted to do, and asked him to just literally tell me to shut this down immediately.
Yes.
If you think for any reason it's stupid. And he's like, actually, no. He's like, you need to run realistic, skew the numbers out of your favor.
Right.
And determine if you're going to be able to end up in the black.
No, I remember. Yeah.
I was like, so I did. I sat down with a literal pen and paper, and I was like...
You sent it to me. Worst case scenario, you still broke even.
Yeah.
I remember it vividly. Yeah.
And it's actually done. I've not had one single month that was like even break even. All of them have been above even.
Right.
So it was a great investment. But yeah, so it was that. Met with Jeff like the 3 days after the initial idea popped into my head, and then I was like within that first week was looking actively, physically walking in and out of open houses with my real estate agent.
No, you move quick.
I moved insanely quick, and then you know how long of a process it is to close on a house. It's not like buying a normal object. You don't walk away with that object the day that you...
Especially when it's your second one.
No.
Yeah, when you have the one down, and then just the second home, it changes everything.
Right, and so, but even still... So we're talking like basically early October was when I started looking at houses, maybe even mid to late October. I don't have the exact timeline memorized, but the house was closed on January 19th. So, I mean, it was just 3 months.
Oh, it was quick.
Yeah, it was like 3 months and it was done. Like the house was done. And then, so January, or did I say 19th? I think it was 17th.
Okay. Doesn't matter.
It makes no difference.
Yeah.
So I closed mid-January. By Valentine's Day, the gym was in the basement, ready. It was done. The GoPro's powering off if anyone gave a fuck since it stopped working 20
It doesn't
minutes
like
ago.
me.
Anyway, yeah. I'm learning something new every time I do this. But anyway, yeah, dude, so that was me
falling into rental, because you had such a good deal on your first house. This all worked out. And then you just basically found a tenant pretty quickly, and boom, boom. Yeah, boom, boom.
That was the other, like, again, having zero experience. I'm like, okay, I'm going to list this on Craigslist, and who knows how long. You know, I've sold cars on Craigslist, and sometimes you don't even get an inquiry for
weeks.
Days.
Yeah.
And then those people are like, well,
I'll offer you this. Yeah.
Yeah, they're lowballing the shit out of you, and they're giving you reasons why they can't. The price isn't fair. Blah, blah.
Right.
It's a process. With this, I put the pictures on this shit, and I made the mistake of putting my phone number on there, and having people text me was my preferred method of communication.
Yeah, interaction, yeah.
Dude, my phone never stopped. It was instantly, the minute it was on there, I started getting texts.
Welcome to my life on that one.
I can imagine, dude.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, this is like legitimately too easy. I just got to find someone who I actually want to live.
That's the thing. Yeah. That's a whole nother. Yeah, we could have a whole thing on acquisition of clients. And tenants.
I'm gonna tell this story because it'll be anonymous, and I doubt my tenants are gonna listen to this or see this. Even if they do, again, this is anonymous, so they can't.
No, they can't come after us.
So this is. So I talked to the woman, the woman of the house, we'll say, and she was well spoken. She was very polite. She was really cool. A lot of the inquiries I was getting, like the text, I was like, just by reading your text, you're not living in my fucking house. Yeah. She was very well spoken. Seemed like a really good person, and then so I was like, yeah, you can come by and look at it. Yeah. And I had done that with numerous people, and there was some that I was just like, dude,
not a chance.
I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
You're not gonna fucking pay your rent. I'm gonna evict you.
Right. I don't want to go through it. Right. And you were stressing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I met her, and she was great. I was like, okay, this seems cool, and she's like, okay, well, here's the thing, like I have kids. I'm like, okay. Right. She's like, I have dogs. I'm like, can I just meet them? She's like, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, I had dogs.
Right.
Fucking freak show dogs.
Right. 200-pound dogs. Yeah. Little Yorkie's not going to do anything.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I do that, and then she's like, okay, now I want you to, like, can my husband come by and look at the house tomorrow? I'm like, sure. So he comes with her, and he was fine. There's nothing wrong with him. He was cool. And then we get down to the basement, and I'm showing him the basement, and so he looks at her. They look at each other with this, like, kind of awkward gaze, and he's like, you gonna tell him the truth?
Right.
She's like hesitant to say something. I'm like, what's
the
truth?
Right.
And he's like, okay, here's the thing. I'm a convicted felon.
Right. I remember our whole conversation on it.
I'm like, what'd you do?
Right.
Yeah, I was straight up just like, what the fuck did you do?
Right.
And he's like, if you look at it on paper, it looks really bad. He's like, I have felony kidnapping charges. And I was like, Jesus Christ.
Right. Pretty serious charge.
Yeah, I was like, fuck, man.
Right.
Maybe I read you guys wrong.
Right.
And he's like, here's the story. And he explained what had happened. Essentially, if I remember it as vividly as I think I do, it was his niece that was living in an abusive household. I'm assuming with her parents. I don't know, his brother or sister or something, or I don't know the whole dynamic. But his niece was living in an abusive household, and nothing was being done about it. And so he went to the house and took her away to keep her safe. Yeah. Essentially, was what he explained. And so I reached out to a cop friend of mine and had him kind of do a background check, and he's like based on what I'm finding, he's like, it sounds like he's being honest. He's like, there's nothing else on his record.
Right.
So he's like, if it were me, I would go through with it if they seem like good people and shit. And so I did. I took a little bit of a risk, I guess, but I've had no issues. No, they've been great. They've been really good tenants. They've always paid their rent. Nothing's gone wrong with the house. They take care of the house. So it's just, I got admittedly very lucky.
Yes. Your first experience has been amazing.
Yeah. And is that to say that that's going to continue? Probably not.
No.
I'm probably not going to get that lucky if I continue going down that path in the future.
Right.
So far, so fucking good.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I'm not going to go write a book about buying rental properties.
Right.
Because I don't have a clue. It organically just happened for me.
Right. It's a good story, but it's not a good way to teach somebody to do it.
Yeah, let me even backtrack. It wasn't even my initial plan to make it a rental. What I did was I gave them the option. I gave them 3 different pricing options. Like I gave them short-term options, which you rarely ever get.
Right.
Like I gave them a 6-month option, an 12-month option, and an 18-month plus option. And it was cheaper the longer the term. Right. But my point for doing that was I didn't want to try to sell a house in the middle of winter.
Right.
Because you're not going to get as much.
It's just a nuisance.
Right. Yeah. You don't want to move.
Except right now.
Yeah.
It's just such a rare thing.
Yeah. Like people don't want, I moved into my house in the middle of January. It was freezing fucking cold. And
people just don't even want to look at houses. They feel like they miss things on the outside when it's cold because you're not looking.
The house isn't as aesthetically pleasing. Psychologically, when you look at a house in this dim, shitty weather and it's cold.
The bushes don't have any foliage on them. Everything. Yeah. It's bare. Yeah.
So even just from a psychological standpoint, the market's not good to sell in the winter. And this is me speaking from zero experience. It just makes sense logically. So I was like, I don't want to sell it right now because I'm not going to get as much for it as I could. Right. So if they do like a 6-month lease, for example.
Right. You'll be in the summer. Yeah.
Yeah. So I could sell it then. And if they do 12 months, then cool. I'll just revisit this in a year.
Right.
If they do 18 months and literally leave it 18 months, I can sell it then. Or if they just keep renting it indefinitely, then I just profit off it and build equity. Right. And so it's been over 2 years. Yeah. They've never missed a payment. I've spent maybe $500 total on just little repairs here and there. Right. I just replaced a dishwasher.
Right.
But other than that, like I said, that my initial plan wasn't even to do a rental property. My initial plan was just to sell the fucking thing. Right. I'm glad I did it the way I did because it's worked
and it's
out.
Not right. And now you've learned so much.
Right. But again,
that's not the normal route.
And this makes me the furthest thing you could possibly be from an expert. So me soliciting advice to other people on how to do this I'm not the guy.
And that's the craziest part. Like I don't even feel like I should be helping people. It's just I was to the point of so many inquiries about it, and then like you just said about the training is so many people are giving such bad misinformation. I was like, even though I don't feel 100% comfortable teaching you, I'm a hell of a lot more comfortable, or I'm more experienced than the people who are giving you the information.
Right. Now the GoPro's making new noises that we've never heard.
Oh, when it's back.
What is it, dude?
I don't know. It's yeah.
Now we can at least look at this camera. There's probably no one watching this live video anymore.
That's all right.
Fuck it.
That's all right.
But yeah, I mean, and then that's Anyway, so okay, what made you decide to go into chiropractic?
Yeah, chiro was, went into college knowing I wanted to be in the sciences for sure. So going into that, I was like, that gives me time to figure out exactly what I want to get into from there. So, played soccer, always lifted in high school, stuff like that. I was on a pretty fast track in college. I came in, I was basically a sophomore already, so I had 3 years. I know a lot of people don't know, you pretty much have to apply to grad schools the year before you graduate. So it really brought me to 2 years to figure stuff out. But just gym, being in the gym, everybody talked about it. I knew pretty quickly it was going to be orthopedic, chiro or PT. So then from there, and it's something everybody should do in every business, is I just went and shadowed. Called up random offices, went and talked to Dr. Benz, who I know we've talked about, stuff like that. The office I'm in now practicing at, called him. I knew who the secretary was at the time. We had a conversation, shadowed with him. The one thing I tell everybody, and kids especially, like in college, is the one thing every business owner likes to do is talk about how amazing they are at what they do. Let them do that. I can't tell you how many people. I just had somebody in the office the other day who's a cop and is like, if I would have known what this was going to entail, I would have never gotten into it. And I go, why didn't you shadow? I didn't know I even had the opportunity. You have the opportunity to shadow in anything. Yeah. And people are more than happy to bring you into the office. You're not a nuisance. They can always use a hand, even offer, I will work for free while I'm there. And through that, I realized very quickly I didn't want to do PT. And I love physical therapy. The part I didn't like about it was the doctor gives you an order and you pretty much have to follow that. I hated that part of it. I can't tell you how many PTs even tell me that I know this isn't even the right thing, but this is what I'm ordered to do, and so that's what I have to follow. So I knew that I was out instantly on that. Ortho is primarily what I wanted to do, become an orthopedic surgeon. Every orthopedic surgeon I went to said, don't go to med school. Really? Every single one. I probably went to 6 offices. Every single one was like, I've been divorced twice. I'm stressed to the gills. You don't make any money till you're 50 because you're paying off all your debt. You go to school till you're 30. Then you go into externships to be a surgeon from there. So you're almost 40 before you get out. And then it takes 10 years to pay everything off. So it's boom. And then on top of it, and they're 100% right now looking at it, is the pay is just going to continue to go down. The insurance is going to continue to go up. And so the whole desire to be there, just don't do it. And so that's literally how I ended up where I was at.
This could be a super easy segue into politics.
Uh-oh.
We don't need to.
No.
Not necessary.
No.
I would force us down a rabbit hole if we did that.
Oh yeah, but no, I think everybody and parents need to talk to their kids about shadowing. You do not know a field until you go into the office and see it. Dentistry was another one. I should say that I looked into being a dentist. I went ahead and took a couple practice DATs, which is the test you take to go to dental school and stuff. And I went into 2 offices, and I was miserable just shadowing them. And the dentist even laughed, because I'm I get why you guys all commit suicide. I get it. People are not happy to see you. Nobody is. Nobody's happy to see you. Your clients are irritated coming in, irritated coming out. Your front desk person's fighting to get paid for the things you just did. I'm I'm not doing this. So
it's funny you say that about dentists. I don't like dentists.
No one.
I don't. It's not even the standard. I don't like going because it's an inconvenience. And whatever. I don't fucking trust them. And it's just an anecdotal situation that happened to me. This is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I told this story to a handful of people, and they're all kind of like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So I know I'm getting a little bit off topic.
That's all right. We'll sidetrack it.
Sidetrack.
Yeah.
It's the name of the fucking podcast for a reason. Okay. So since I was a little kid, I went to the same dentist.
Me too.
Same office.
It was my mom's dentist, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're supposed to go every 6 months.
6 months, yeah. At the time,
yeah,
when we were younger. It's changed now.
I wouldn't have a fucking clue because I don't go to the dentist anymore.
Me either.
So this would have been in 2006 or 7.
Okay.
I went to the dentist. I've never had a cavity ever in my life.
Right.
Never had a cavity. Every time I go there, I get nothing but compliments. Everything looks great. You were doing a great job. Cool. Let's clean your fucking teeth and get you out of here.
Right.
Every single
That's
time.
how my guy always was. Yeah.
Works 6 months, same
Yep.
thing every time. Well, now my dentist at this point in 06 or 07 moved into this new facility for the first time ever. Like since I was a little kid, he was always in this one kind of just mom and pop style.
Yeah,
old school
which is that's exactly how mine was.
Right, and then so he moved into this brand new, like, state of the art. It looked like a fucking spaceship in there. All this equipment I've never seen before. It just was all high tech and state of the art, which was impressive.
Yeah.
At first, I'm like, okay, cool. He fucking upgraded.
Stepped it up, right?
Good for him. And then, so I sit down, the dental assistant or whatever, the hygienist, whatever their title is. Hope I don't offend anyone.
No, dental hygienist, yeah.
Right. So she's dicking around with my teeth and, wow, you've done such a good job. You clearly floss every day. I'm like, I've never flossed.
Right. But thanks for the compliment.
Appreciate it. I'm doing a good job. I do brush every day, twice.
Right.
You know, and blah, blah, blah. If I don't feel like brushing my teeth late at night, I might just use mouthwash every now and then.
Right.
You know,
Still.
Pretty fucking good. Again, compliment after compliment, and then doctor walks in and he's like hasn't even like looked at anything. And he's like, "Well, got some bad news for you." I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "Looks like you got 4 cavities." I'm like, "Really?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah," and he pulls up this like the X-ray shit, and he's showing me a bunch of arbitrary stuff that's
Right. You have no clue. Right. How would you?
Yeah, and he's just like, yeah, so we got 4 cavities in there, so that's like all he said. He's like, let's get you on the schedule to get those filled. I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, go right up there to Abby, and she'll take care of you. I'm like, okay. I go up there, I schedule it, and the whole time I'm like, bullshit.
Yeah.
You
don't feel good about it. Yeah.
This sounds like fucking bullshit to me. And instantly I start thinking, this motherfucker's trying to pay
for this place.
equipment.
Right.
And so I go ahead and schedule it or whatever, and I had no intention of actually following through.
Right.
And
Call and cancel later.
I wanted to keep my appointment and just not show up.
Yeah.
Like I purposely wanted to be a dickhead about it. And at the time I was like, I'm going to go get a second opinion, which I never ended up even doing. I just didn't do anything.
Yeah.
It was not until 2016, so either 9 or 10 years later, I want to say a decade.
Yeah.
I was having some trouble with my gums. This was actually right after I got my CPAP, and I didn't think about the fact that I had a mechanism over my face blowing air on my teeth, basically.
Yeah, increasing sensitivity. Yeah.
Sure. And so I was having some issues with my gums, and I thought that I had like gum disease or something. Live videos done.
Perfect.
We're good. That's
all right.
That's always going to be 60 minutes. I don't give a shit
that's good.
That. So, I was like, well, I guess I need to go to the dentist. At the time, my brother was dating a hygienist, and so I was like, cool, I'll go into her place.
Right.
Going to Brittany's place. So I go in. They look at my teeth. As a matter of fact, the hygienist that actually worked on me was this. She worked for
way
doctor. Yeah. Same person that used to work on my shit over a decade ago.
Yeah.
So it was kind of funny. Anyway, she goes in, and I didn't even bring up anything about the fact that 10 years ago I was quote unquote diagnosed
for 4 cavities, right?
Which, by the way, never had a single issue with these
so-called cavities. Right.
And so I went in. She's fucking around with my teeth. They do the X-rays. They do the whole 9 yards, and then they're like, "Yeah, no, everything looks great. You're good to go." The gum thing was again because of the CPAP, just like blowing, basically recycled air back into my mouth all the time. You can imagine like how dry your mouth gets.
Oh yeah.
And then so
it's what I've been experiencing with the mass. Yeah.
For sure.
My gums, my mouth hurts all the time now.
Yeah, I hadn't even considered that it made perfect sense as soon as they
said it.
Figured that out.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so I don't have any cavities, and the doctor was like, no, why?
Right.
And I was like, well, I was told that I did 10 years ago.
Right.
And he's like, you're kidding. I'm like, no. So like if I had cavities 10 years ago,
They should be. It should be bad now.
He's like, oh, you would have been in pain.
Right.
You would have experienced all these different things. He's like, you would have known for
Right.
sure by now, especially by now. He's like, and then after doing your X-rays and stuff, no.
Right.
So they literally fucking lied.
Oh yeah,
to me.
it's the two most common professions for it are mine, chiropractic, one of the worst, and now dentistry, one of the worst. It's always been there with dentistry, but now it's bad because you got all these franchises, and I mean they're doing scans, not even X-rays, at health fairs, and they're telling people. I mean, I have friends who go to the dentist like every 2 months, get checked, and they're like they've gone to one of these to get checked, and they're like, yeah, you have like 12, and it would usually be $3,000, but if you like sign up like right now, we'll fix all of them for $500. And they go, even just saying that sounds terrible, but you hear it all the time in dentistry.
It's unbelievable to me.
It is, but I mean, you know, that it's one of those that's overpopulated. They put too many dentists out. Same with chiropractic, lawyers. Same with lawyers now, and because of that, they're all fighting, and some of them do it the wrong way.
I mean, I have some friends that are attorneys, and
I'm sure they complain about it all the time.
I don't hear a lot of complaints because I don't interact with my buddies that are attorneys often. Honestly, not as often as I would like, because they're all great dudes that I've grown up with. And one of them I talk to all the time. We never talk about work. Really.
That's
talk about
nice.
Shit, which is cool.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is they're not. I mean, these are guys that are now in their like mid to late 30s, and they're still financially. Everyone thinks, oh, you want to be rich, become a lawyer. It's like, no,
one of the worst ways now. It's a small fee in every profession. My profession, I mean, there's a couple guys here who have $1 million houses in my profession,
right?
But you're the few, and the very, very few,
right? And that's
top.
It's so easy to fall into that perception. Like, for example, in professional sports, like football specifically, I'm going to totally misquote this, but the average length of an NFL career is something like 2 years. I was
just gonna say, I think it's 2 years.
It's something like that. You guys can fact check me. I'm probably wrong, but it's something very, very short. And you think all you hear about is Tom Brady's played 20 years in the NFL, and it's like you're doing this math, and you're like, no, I mean, like the running backs that I like and the quarterbacks that I'm familiar with, and Peyton Manning this and Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre, and it's like, no, those fucking guys are aliens.
Yes,
that is the not
exception
normal at all. Yeah, you're talking about the best of the best, who part of the reason that they're thought of as the best is because they have this longevity that's not common at all.
No.
Whereas truly the average, so meaning the average is only, again, we're probably wrong when we say 2 years, but it's something super short.
It's right there, yeah.
So, like, that means that a ton of people, equally as many as the Tom Brady's and the Brett Favre.
Oh, way far exceeding, yeah.
I mean, these guys are getting drafted, and then they're playing a game.
And now with the rookie contracts, they're not making any money.
Right, and so it's the same thing with, like, the perception of, like, any industry where you see these, like...
3.3 years. The average NFL career is 3.3 years.
That's a good call, bringing your phone in.
See, there we go.
Yeah,
that's why Joe Rogan has a guy who does that on the side.
I know. I'm trying to. If there's no one watching anymore, so I don't know. I'm looking at the camera. If anyone's listening, any investors, if you want to pay somebody to be an engineer for me on this too.
See, there we go. We're just keep branching.
Yeah. If I'm gonna beat Joe Rogan out for this #1 spot,
we got to bring people in.
I got to bring people in, and I'm not paying them myself.
No, but they don't. I mean, I have a few NFL guys. Some currently playing, some who have played, and the ones done very, very well. The rest are already on to their second and third careers,
right?
Because they can't live on what they made. There's no way.
And and again, the length of the careers and the amount of money that people make in certain industries where you perceive. Well, I can use myself. I could give another anecdote. So I worked, and this is almost. At this point in my life, looking back, it's like kind of embarrassing to say out loud. Yeah. But we've all had embarrassing jobs when we were young. I worked for the Buckle, the retail clothing store, forever ago, 2008 through 2010. For 2 years, I was there, and you hear all these stories. Like my buddy Eric, actually, who owns a really successful clothing line out in LA. Eric's a fucking stud. Eric is like when it comes to like being a legitimate entrepreneur, people that I personally know that are on the same wavelength as I am socially, age-wise, etc. Like, he's the fucking man. He owns a clothing line. You can find him anywhere. It's called Buck Mason. Their stuff is super fucking cool. He started that from the ground up. But when he was with the Buckle, he was just this like whiz kid.
Yeah.
He became a store manager at age 18, which they've never done. They never did before and since him.
Yeah.
He grew the business like a couple $1 million, which the Buckle stores, I would say on average, like an average Buckle store does like, I would estimate 1.5 million. He grew the store multiple, like I want to say like 2 million over a 2 or 3 year period.
Yeah.
Springfield, Missouri, by the way.
Right.
Became one of the highest volume stores in the whole company, of over 400 stores. That time, probably more like 300. Shut the fuck up, GoPro. You're done. You're done. Anyway, he just fucking murdered it. And so, like, I don't know all the time frames, but at a very young age, he was promoted to like a district manager, and then like, or an area manager, then like a district manager, whatever. I don't remember the all of the context, but long story short, the selling point of becoming a store manager was you'd hear stories about guys like Eric, and they're like, Eric's year-end bonus in 2005 or whatever was $162,000 in one paycheck, in addition to his salary and his commission and all this other shit. And I'm just like,
oh my gosh,
dude, this job's fun. I'm selling clothes, like I'm just bullshitting with cool people and like selling clothes. I could be a manager and make over $200K. Sign me the fuck up.
Let's go.
Yeah. I'm in, dude. Like this, like my whole perception of like getting a college degree and working in this corporate setting, which is what I intended to do. It's why I went to school for business. I was like, fuck that, dude. I can work in the mall, and sell jeans and make 200.
Drink Orange Julius all day. It's perfect. Yeah.
They're literally directly.
Oh yeah, they always are. Yeah.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's so funny. But anyway, yeah, Eric that's accurate. He did do that, but he was one of 400 managers.
Right, and he was the one exception.
The biggest exception.
Yeah.
There was no one doing what he did. I don't know that there's been anyone since him that's done what he did.
And they probably still talk about him.
I guarantee they do.
Yeah.
He, to this day, I don't know about to this day, but when I quit, at that point, he had the biggest individual sale in the history of the company. He had a $10,000 sale inside the fucking Buckle. I doubt anyone has beaten that.
There's no way.
Biggest sale I ever had, and I was on fucking cloud nine. $1,800. I thought I was the fucking man.
Well, that's still crazy.
It's a ton of money
for a clothing store, right?
Yeah, Eric did a $10,000 individual transaction for one person. But this, like I said, he's not normal.
No.
He's the guy at age, he was in his probably mid-20s, or maybe even early 20s, quit.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm making $200K. I'm like 23 years old. I have this, prestigious position that I've worked my way up so much faster than everyone ever has. I'm going to do something
Time
else.
To move on, right.
Moved out to California and became a fucking bartender at first. And then started his own shit, and then started his own. I think he intended for it to just be like a denim company, and then it's a whole clothing.
Just branched in,
and it's big. Like it's huge. He's got celebrities wearing his shit. This stuff's been in like, I want to say it's been in like GQ magazine. I mean, he's
that's
out there,
awesome.
He's out there fucking killing it. And
yeah,
he's probably doing other things that I'm not.
I'm sure. Someone like that always does. Yeah,
for sure. But you hear these outlier people and you assume that's how everyone can just be. And it's like, dude, you're not necessarily just kind of, it's good to aspire to be like that.
That's the biggest thing. Yeah.
But you also have to understand, like, if you're not elite immediately, whether it's, you have genetics in a certain field that just aid in your ability to be dominant in something. If you don't have that, you're going to have to overcome the fact that you don't with extreme amount of fucking work.
Right.
And you're going to have to get lucky sometimes. And when you don't, you're going to have to overcome obstacles and not just quit.
Right. I call them invisible results. It's you see, generally people, or not generally, people don't know or see you unless they're your close friends. Like you saw him through the process, but generally people don't see them until they've made it.
True.
So you don't see like A and B and C and D, you see D.
Well, and that's, so when he, like I said, when he moved out to California, my girlfriend at the time and I went out and visited him. It's kind of a funny story because her and him dated before.
That's funny.
She was dating him while he went through that process.
Okay.
And then they just remained friends, and I didn't give a shit. It was cool. He was cool.
Yeah.
And I just had like a very like trusting, cool. It was like, let's go fucking visit.
Let's go.
Eric.
Yeah.
And that was when he just gave up this, 6-figure job in his 20s to move out to California with no plan, and it was just a bartender. So
yeah.
when I actually met him and hung out with him in person for the first time, he was a fucking bartender. Anyone can be a bartender.
Oh yeah.
But that was a step in the process of starting something much, much bigger, and now that's been 13 years ago, I think, and 12, 13 years, whatever, it doesn't matter. Now he's doing extremely successful with something else. Probably, I would estimate, probably more successful than he ever even was with the buckle.
Right.
And he's doing something that he's a lot more passionate about.
Enjoys.
It's his.
Right.
He's not working for anyone anymore, etc. And that, again, there's something extremely valuable about that. But again, like, if that's the only place that you're learning from, you might be super delusional, and you might be setting yourself up for massive failure.
Yeah.
If you don't understand that, like, you're not gonna buy a one-way plane ticket to California and
make
the
it
next clothing mogul.
No. And again, goes right back to what we talked about with Instagram. People
Yes.
want you to believe that's the possibility, and it does happen, but it's not the norm.
They're also selling it, like you said. They're like, okay, I did this process, and it would literally be like me having this quote-unquote success story with my rental property, which is really nothing. I profit a couple $100 a month, which I just put right back into the mortgage. It's not a success story. It's happening conveniently, but
right.
It's not a success story.
Right.
It would be like me turning around and selling, here's how you do this.
Right.
I don't know how to do it. I'm not gonna tell people, but people on social media do.
Oh yeah, you could make an infomercial.
I could easily.
Yeah.
And I could fucking probably make a lot of money off of it. Temporarily, and then it would come out that I'm a fucking scam artist and I have no clue what I'm talking about, and I've set hundreds of people up for failure.
And even if you did, the chances of the people being successful in it on your method are very, very small.
For sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, again, it's too easy to get caught up in perceptions of things that seem easy because you're just seeing the end result.
Yeah.
The best people in the world always make things look easy.
Yes.
Go watch Aaron Rodgers play quarterback. You would think, I could.
Anybody could do that. Yeah.
I played sports. I could.
Right. Elon Musk, he just manages rockets.
Exactly.
Easy. He goes on podcasts and smokes weed. I mean, how hard is all that?
Right. It can't be that hard
to
be the richest person.
No, because he's not that smart.
No, he's not even intelligent at all. He's just.
Joe Rogan just asks questions.
Yeah, that's all he does. He just gets on.
I've heard it from multiple people.
Just ask questions. Yeah. How hard could that be? Get the fuck out of here.
I know.
Yeah, exactly. People think the same thing about being a prep coach, and that's why so many people think they can just do it.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, there's a lot more to it than just lowering people's calories. Like, and that's what everybody thinks is all it is. Is you're just
hypocaloric.
Yeah, you're just gonna put people in a deficit until they're in shape, and then they get on stage and they win.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh yeah, nothing else. No other nuances.
Right, exactly. Yeah, there's a reason there's big names in the industry and that they don't really go anywhere. Like, once you've developed a big name in the industry, you're probably going to stay there as long as you want to be there, and that's truly because those people are that much better than other people.
Yes.
For the most part.
Yes.
And there's also a reason why it's very difficult to ascend to that level. It's not as simple as just giving people chicken and rice and decreasing that amount gradually over time.
No.
So much more to it. But on the surface, on Instagram, when you see this, you read a little bit about how to do nutrition, or you go through a prep yourself even, you have these perceptions about what goes into it. You're like, I can do this.
Right.
It's not hard.
Right.
And there's extra money to be made, so I'll just put it in my Instagram bio, and now I'm going to coach people.
Exactly. And here I am.
And now you're not going to be successful. The people you're coaching are really not going to be successful. No. They're probably going to be predominantly first-time competitors.
Yes.
Now they're going to have a bad taste in their mouth.
A horrible experience.
Sport.
Yep.
Now they don't want to compete anymore.
Yep.
2018, the NPC show participation was down. I want to say, if I remember correctly, this came directly from Chad Nichols, who's like on the a part.
He's the top tier.
Yeah, he's like as a promoter and
Crow.
Nine.
Yes.
Yeah, he's like a chairman of a region of the NPC, so it's not like he's just a guy.
Right.
He's also the greatest contest prep coach of all time. He prepped the current Mr. Olympia, etc.
Yeah.
Ronnie Coleman to 8 Olympias. Anyway, irrelevant. But he's the one who told me to my face, participation, this is long before COVID,
Right.
was down, I want to say it was either 18 or 28%.
Yeah. Huge.
That's a direct result of bad coaching, people who are unqualified coaching people, giving people shit results, or even giving them seemingly good results with their conditioning, but ruining their metabolism, fucking up their...
Well, that was the year where it became cool to bash bodybuilding.
Yeah.
You saw it all over social media. It was like it still carried through, but I mean, you saw so many people get on there and, I have an eating disorder now from bodybuilding. Metabolic damage from it. I got rhabdo from it. Like that was the year of seeing that.
It started to really become abundant, and it's huge. Like, that's a lot of these, especially female social media fitness influencers.
Yes, predominantly female on that. Yes,
they're not even talking about fitness anymore. They're not even talking about how to get lean, how to build your booty, how to do this. It's mostly like, this is why bodybuilding is so toxic and terrible.
This is why I don't bodybuild anymore.
It's like, dude, no.
People have built their social media platforms on it.
100%.
Yeah.
There's millions of followers out there following these people, telling these horror stories and blaming bodybuilding. And it's like, dude, no. Bodybuilding didn't do this to you. The person that you had in charge of your nutrition, your drug protocols, your training, whatever, who has no clue what the fuck they're doing, who you blindly followed, is the reason you had this horrible experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's aspects of bodybuilding that are very difficult to deal with if you're like susceptible to like mental health issues, eating disorders. 100%. I'm not saying that isn't a thing. That's a huge problem in the sport, but again, bodybuilding isn't responsible for that.
No, the sport's not responsible.
No, it's generally you were doing things incorrectly, whether it was on your own accord or you were just following someone else telling you to do those things that fucking ruined it for you.
Oh, yeah.
Blame that person, or even, do what we're doing and just blame the whole industry where people just think they can just take over people's prep or their nutrition or training. Or again, the big thing is the drug protocols. And fucking destroy people. That's what fucked you up. You can do bodybuilding safely. You can do it where it's fun. Yeah, it's a ton of work. It's
what isn't? What sport isn't?
What rewarding? What have you ever done in your life that was extremely rewarding, that wasn't extremely difficult to do? If it was just, again, it's just like the most cliche thing to say. If it was easy, everyone would do it.
Right.
In which case, it would no longer be cool.
There's no reward.
Zero reward.
Yeah.
It's easy. It's not. That's like walking to the kitchen and making yourself a sandwich. You don't have an overwhelming sense of reward from that because it's fucking easy.
Right.
A 3-year-old can do it. Bodybuilding is, yes, it's very difficult, but again, that's part of what makes it fun. It's not toxic. It's just when you are starting your prep on 1,000 calories and an hour and a half of cardio, and then pushing the limit further and further to where you're literally starving yourself. Yeah. You have no brain function left. You're depressed. You're miserable. Your hormones are destroyed.
You're muscle wasting. Everything.
Or you're a female and you're using a bunch of drugs that have now altered your voice or your facial structure. You're building you're growing hair in random places you're not supposed to, and all this ridiculous shit because somebody who's completely
misguiding you
has guided you into doing something that's now giving you irreversible damage. That's your problems. Bodybuilding is not the problem. No. So,
and it's so many businesses.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I find, and that's something that's cool, that I knew was going to be cool about doing this podcast, is almost any industry you're involved in, if you're involved in it heavily enough, you can make parallel, like, what's the word I'm looking for? You could just draw parallels. Yeah. Like my industry, like my brother, I think I said earlier.
Yeah, photography. Right.
Our industries are very similar. Yeah. They're not at all, but they are in a lot of other ways.
Yeah. Acquisition. Yeah.
Yeah. There's tons of parallels that you can make there. And you can probably make those same parallels in any industry. Right. But yeah, man, I don't know. The world is a crazy fucking place.
It is.
There's so many, I feel like we've been going for a long time, and there's so many things that we haven't covered that I want to cover with
you. Yeah.
Let me see here. We've been going I mean, an hour and 50 minutes.
Wow.
Approximately. We can keep going. I don't give a fuck.
Doesn't matter to me.
I don't know. I don't even know what time it is, but it's maybe dinner time for me now.
12:45.
It's dinner time. We'll wrap it up soon, but let's talk about let's talk basketball for a minute. We can't.
That's fair.
This is going to end up turning into a basketball podcast at some point, I think.
You're going to have full-on basketball conversations, I think, on here.
Like I said in the very beginning, there's going to be a lot of people sitting in that chair. I'm pointing to the camera. That's not turned on.
That's not turned on, yeah.
That are going to argue with me the Jordan-LeBron debate.
Yeah, that's a whole...
I could do a whole podcast just on that.
Yes, multiple.
Yeah, I could easily segue this into just being a LeBron versus Jordan.
Well, you could just end every podcast with who's better, and just ask each person and just
do the debate.
Yeah.
Which again, him and I agree on this, so this is not no argument here.
Yeah, let me preface that I like Jordan better.
I do too.
I know, and I we know each other so well. We both know where we stand on it all. So for me to say that LeBron's better than Jordan hurts. Mm-hmm. But he is.
There's a lot of things about LeBron as an individual that I can't fucking stand.
Yeah, even on the court that I can't stand.
Agreed. Yeah, there's a lot of frustrating aspects of the guy.
Very.
I was a much bigger fan of Michael Jordan.
Yes. And because of that, people want to debate that he's better.
That's exactly why.
That it really is, because I don't think at this point. I don't. Not that I don't think there is no questioning at this point that LeBron is better. Yeah,
there's not, and you're right. It's nostalgia, and
it's nostalgia and just personal.
Yeah, people like him more.
Yes,
he's a much more iconic individual. Like his presence is a much bigger presence.
I think it's because he's not a presence is why he's such a big presence. It's such a weird situation. He's not on social media. You don't hear or see about him for months, and then he pops up and you have to watch. I mean, Kobe's funeral, or I don't know, I guess you'd say funeral, when he talked, I mean, everybody stopped and watched.
Of course. And it also goes back to, that's part of the debate. He played in an era where none of that shit existed. Like, you had ESPN and maybe a couple of local news media stations that were interviewing.
Right.
You had no access to Michael Jordan.
No.
He didn't have Twitter. He didn't have Instagram.
No.
They didn't exist. So your access to Michael Jordan was the couple hours a week that he was on television, and then you'd have to see him in TV commercials or magazines. That was your only access to the guy. You knew nothing about him.
No.
You knew nothing about anybody back then.
No.
Now you know everything about everyone.
Besides Rodman.
Right.
Yeah, he was the only guy. He was on the news all the time.
I'm going to get into this at some point. Dennis Rodman is one of the biggest influences on my entire life, period. Point blank. It's so fucking crazy, how much Dennis Rodman... People, and the funny thing is, people who know me are thinking, okay, Dennis Rodman's super eccentric, cross-dressed, had
Madonna
tattoos, dated all these women,
Gages,
huge, drug addict,
North Korea, the list goes on. Everybody knows him for everything else besides what he was amazing at.
Right, and then they look at me and they're like, okay, you're white,
clean cut, white,
one tattoo that's not even really visible,
not married to Madonna.
Yeah, don't date crazy people in the public eye at all. Don't party. Don't really do drugs. How are you guys similar at all? It's not even that there's very few similarities between us. That's not the point I'm trying to make. It's just his persona was something that I was fucking fascinated by. Well, initially it was just I loved the way he played the game. I've always envied people and looked up to people who had attributes that I was bad at.
Yes.
I was a terrible defender. I could shoot the fucking daylights out of the ball. I have no hesitation tooting my own horn, saying I'm the best passer that I have ever physically seen play outside of NBA games.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are going to hear this or see this
and scoff. Right.
Shit.
Right.
Trust me, go back and watch the fucking tapes. That was actually what I was best at. I'm known for shooting and scoring and things like this, but I broke Larry Hughes' single season assist record at my high school.
That's crazy.
I shit on that record. I don't think anyone will ever touch that record. And a lot of my assists didn't even get tallied.
Yeah.
Almost broke the single game record 6 or 7 times. Anyway, I was horrible at defense. I was short and white. Wasn't great. I was an okay rebounder given the circumstances, but I was never known as a
Right, not
rebounder.
nasty on the boards.
I was not the guy who was known for diving out of bounds and sacrificing my body to make the most minute little play.
Right.
The guys that were, first of all, playing with guys that did that shit, those were my favorite teammates ever.
Right.
By
Right.
far. Like, I could fucking... If I could build a team, the first attribute I'm looking for is those guys.
Right.
I want those
The
guys
dude
on my
laying on the court.
Yes. I don't care. Like, I played with a guy, ironically, his name was Anthony Davis.
That's funny.
Yeah. He played down low. He played, like, the power forward position. He was my height. He was 5'11".
Yeah.
Very athletic, but the only reason he was fucking good. He was one of my favorite teammates I ever played with, and it was just because he was a fucking workhorse. He defended the shit out of the ball. He got steals. He didn't care about scoring. He could do it when he needed to, but he rebounded the shit out of the ball. He was diving everywhere. He would dive face first into the middle of the hardwood just to get the ball keep it from going out of bounds. Those are my favorite types of players. Nobody before, during, or since Dennis Rodman even comes close to what that motherfucker did on the basketball court.
No, it never will.
No,
there's no doubt about it.
Especially now, we're going further and further out of the direction of seeing anything like that ever again.
Yes.
That was why I was a massive Dennis Rodman fan. Initially,
right,
and then came the hair dye, the tattoos, the piercings, the partying, the tabloid shit, the Madonna, the Carmen Electra,
which all the stuff I hated, and I still
did too.
Yeah,
but then as I've gotten older, I look back and I'm like, actually, I respect that stuff too, because he did not give one single fuck about the perception that the media or people in general had about him. Like, I think since him, there's been a ton of people who have tried to sort of be like him. There've like been copycats that were like, okay, this worked for him.
Right.
I thought he was pretty cool, so I'm going to be the eccentric, crazy guy.
Birdman.
He wasn't trying to do any of that.
Well, no, there was nobody else there. I mean, there was no one to even compare. In fact, at that time, it took away from what it was that he was doing.
Exactly.
It hurt him.
It's not even close. It's not even questionable. He's by far the greatest rebounder in the history of the game.
There's nobody will debate that.
No, and that's the craziest thing is physically, and this is going to sound crazy to non-basketball fans, he was only 6'8". Rebound, like guys that dominate the boards, that dominate the rebounding aspect.
Matumbos.
They're 7 feet tall.
Yes, and with the wingspan of someone who would be like 7'4".
Exactly.
Yeah.
This dude was 6'8". That he's like the norm. He's the average size, average athletic ability in the NBA. There's nothing more average than Dennis Rodman. Yet he absolutely shit on people when it came to defense and rebounding. But that like psychotic nature of the way he played the game was exactly why he was the way he was.
Absolutely. He loved the contact. He loved the beating underneath the basketball. Underneath the hoop at that time.
It's like masochistic.
It is.
That's what I like. When I say he's different than everyone else, like there's people who like to work hard and like to get noticed for.
He wanted to bleed.
He's like that weirdo.
Yes.
That, like wanted to physically feel fucking pain.
And
again, like it takes an eccentric personality to even play basketball that way. Then you started to see, okay, this is just who this dude is. That's why he's acting like a quote-unquote fucking weirdo. But in doing that, I think he had to this day, I genuinely believe Dennis Rodman had no intention of ever influencing anyone else.
No.
I think he was literally just...
Yeah.
And you like, if you guys are going to follow me around and think this is a story, fine.
Right.
I'm just going to continue being
I don't think he enjoyed it.
No, I don't think so either.
No.
I think he just wanted to live his fucking life.
Yeah.
People just let him live his life, but because his lifestyle was so bizarre,
people couldn't get enough of it.
No, that's the media thrives.
They did.
People like that,
and they want to see him fall.
Right,
and that's what happened.
And what I mean since then, I think we've had a ton of people who have seen that the media loves weirdos.
Yeah. So
I'm going to try to be a weirdo.
Yep.
He didn't try to be a weirdo. He was a fucking weirdo.
He was.
But it was. Again, he was just himself. Like, you got guys today, and again, I'm not going to dive too much into the politic thing, but like, for example, earlier this year you had Drew Brees made a comment about people kneeling for the national anthem,
right?
How he thought it was disrespectful and whatever,
right?
He got a shitload of backlash for that from the Black Lives Matter side.
Oh, it never ended.
And then very quickly, he just like
he recanted. Yeah.
I don't want people to perceive me in this light, so I'm going to change my mind on that.
Right.
Dennis Rodman would not have given a single fuck.
No.
But frankly, I think, well, I won't go into it, but Dennis Rodman was everything that people wouldn't want their child to be. And he, not for 1 second did he think, well, I don't want to influence people negatively, so I'll just change it. Yeah. No. And to the point that he became like unintentional like fashion icon. If you find like pictures of Dennis Rodman walking into the locker room, which back then that wasn't a big fashion show like it is today.
No, it was streetwear.
It was just whatever you were wearing that day,
right?
What you wore. This dude was wearing like pajama pants.
Yeah, MC Hammer pants.
Just old fucking beat up T-shirts that he literally probably had for 25 years. It wasn't a vintage tee that cost $5,000.
No, tie-dye hat on, backwards.
Shit. Like this dude just like woke up and like grabbed the first thing and threw it on. And now you look back at it and I was like, that's dope as fuck.
Yeah,
I want to.
Because he didn't care.
Yeah, exactly. And now we're selling high price items to look like
we don't care
when he didn't care.
Right.
But we care a shitload.
Right.
So again, this dude was just massively influential without ever attempting to be influential. And again, that was something back then when I was a kid. I was like, I don't like all the tattoos and shit.
No,
Can you name me one NBA basketball player with no tattoos now?
Not JJ Redick, maybe.
He has tattoos.
Does he? That would be the only one I could think of.
He has a bunch.
Does he? Hansborough. I don't think did. That would probably be about it.
He maybe. Yeah. I don't think
there's a few. No, there's a few, but not many.
Most of them nowadays have way more tattoos.
Oh yeah, they all have piercings.
Piercings, tattoos, the whole nine. Like that. If you think that didn't start with Dennis Rodman, you're fucking crazy.
I agree. Him and AI.
Yeah, but AI still came 10 plus years.
Yeah. He changed the image.
For sure. He was one of the bigger icons in terms of like the visible aspect of people want to dress like him, do their hair like him.
Yes.
Tattoos, the wrist, the arm sleeve, the shooting sleeve they called them, which was completely meaningless, but everyone was wearing them.
Oh yeah.
They did nothing. They literally did nothing.
Well, they didn't understand why we're obviously jumping to him now, but they don't understand why that dude spent more minutes on the court. Again, talking about a dude who loved throwing himself around. Right. No one threw themselves around like AI. No one did.
He didn't have much of a choice because he was so small.
That was his only ability, and he did it.
For sure.
And he took the beating.
For sure.
And so that sleeve was just to save his skin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then everyone else started wearing.
Right, Carmelo wears them, and that dude does not hit the court.
Never,
ever.
No, he's like one of the most pampered.
Absolutely.
Stars ever.
Yeah, he does not need a sleeve. AI needed the sleeve.
Exactly.
I think at one point he was wearing them on both legs, both elbows, and then he had stuff wrapped around his fingers.
Right. Yeah.
Skinned to death.
I think Bruce made his way out of the barricades, by the way.
It sounds like he's shifting. Yeah.
No idea how he did that. That's gonna be fun.
No, but all that took away from Rodman's greatness.
It did. It 100%.
And it's still all that people talk about is how crazy he was. Like the stat is still rarely talked about.
Right, and I understand that because most people don't understand the sport at all, and they see something that's
right. Bizarre. If you don't watch the sport, you remember him because of the crazy,
right,
and the championships.
And looking back on it, even those things that I didn't like when I was a kid that made him so famous. Now I do. Now I look back and I have an inordinate amount of respect for the fact that he was that way.
I agree.
That he was just literally like, this is who I am. I don't care if it bothers you. I don't care if this decreases the perception of who I am. I'm going to do this anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get in the psyche of Rodman, but he had a father figure on his previous team, and when they traded him, let him go to the Bulls, that's when everything changed for him.
100%. Yeah.
And I think at that point, what he was doing was a protective mechanism to keep him from getting hurt again. Because basically he never had a dad, from my understanding with him. And then that, the coach it was the Pistons, right? Yeah. The Bad Boys. Yeah, was everything. I mean, they said you'd hear him say dad to him. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like, see ya. And I just think it was like a protective mechanism to be like, now no one will be around me, and I'm okay with that. I'll just play basketball.
Right.
And so I respect him for it.
I mean, he's one of the most fascinating people.
He is still
ever.
I mean, it's crazy. 20 plus years later, he retired, and he's still. Exactly. I mean, he's all over the media every year.
He is, yeah. And like I said, that kind of stuff has had a massive influence on my life, more so than I ever actually realized. But yeah, man, I could talk fucking basketball all day.
Yeah, we have.
We do. Like I said, our 45 minutes or so of conversation every week generally almost always revolves around
something basketball. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm trying to get you on the soccer kick, but you're.
Well, that's another thing that people don't know is like I played on a fucking
right.
We've talked about.
Yeah, right.
I played on a national champion soccer team. I just don't.
You're not drawn to it. Yeah.
I played it growing up because, like, when you're a little kid, it's like...
That's what you do in St. Louis. Right.
Especially in St. Louis.
Right, yeah.
And I was really good at it, and so I played on these, like, elite teams, and then it was kind of like, well, I got to choose what sport I'm going to play in college. I like basketball more. There's more scholarship money in basketball.
Right.
I'm playing basketball. And then my interest in soccer instantly... I won't say instantly.
Just fell off.
I just don't follow it anymore.
Yeah. There's only so much you can follow.
Yeah, and I just don't have the desire to follow it. Like I do, even football. Like I've been a bigger fan of football than soccer my whole life, and I never played football.
Right.
And like I said, I played soccer at an extremely high level.
Yeah.
And I understand the games in and outs, ins and outs, but talking about professional soccer, I don't have a clue.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You'll come around.
I don't know. Maybe. There's not enough time in the day.
Fair enough.
But anyway, we'll get there. I have influence every day or every week of a soccer guy.
Right.
And I still keep in touch with. When I said I have a bunch of friends that are lawyers, almost all of them were former
from soccer.
Teammates.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I still keep in touch with a lot of soccer people, but we don't talk soccer.
Yeah.
It's like I have a lot of bodybuilder friends and we never talk bodybuilding.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah. I think we all get just burnt out talking about it all the time.
Well, fuck, man.
Especially when it's your work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like, I get some of these people that want to just chat about bodybuilding. I'm like, hey, man.
I know.
Just stop. I'm over it. Yeah.
Right.
Big Ramy looked great at the Olympia. Cool. How many fucking times can I agree with that?
Yeah, I know. You have the same debates. Yeah.
Exactly. And another issue with bodybuilding, and this is
so subjective,
massively abundant when we have the Jordan LeBron debate.
Yeah.
Any basketball debate is a vast, overwhelming majority of the people who want to argue with me they think they know the sport.
Right.
No fucking clue.
Right.
What they're talking about.
The nice thing with basketball though is you have statistics. You always have outlier things, but you have like numbers.
Right. You have
bodybuilding. There's no numbers. It's what I've told people forever.
The only numbers you have is how many wins of overall shows and how many Olympia wins. That's like if you're debating the greatest bodybuilders.
Right, for the greatest. But I just mean like, hey, who do you think should have won Olympia? There's no metric.
No.
None.
It's totally subjective.
There's literally a handful of people sitting there at a table picking who they want. Mm-hmm. That's it.
It's almost that. That's an oversimplification. But
it is, but that's what it is.
Yeah, it's those people.
And the debates, there's no way to win a debate on who should have won.
No.
Because it's all subjective.
Exactly. The person who should have won is the person who the judges
picked. That's it.
Every single time. But you can debate that they got it wrong and
right. And there's no winning that.
No, there's really not. Again, if we're having the GOAT debate, who's the greatest bodybuilder of all time, now you can kind of start. There's some more objective reasons why you would choose one person over another.
Right.
Still, that's the only quote unquote metric you have.
Yep.
Ronnie won 8 and Phil only won 7, so Ronnie's better. It's
right.
That's one way.
I mean, it is. Or total wins, like you said.
Right. Which he wins that too. I think unless Dexter might have.
I think Dexter has the most wins overall.
Yeah, he might have surpassed, but Ronnie for a long time did have the most overall most wins of shows period, and tied is the record tied for most Olympia wins. So it's very easy to just say he's the best,
right?
And he probably is.
Yeah.
But Yeah, there's no real metric when you're determining. And again, to go back to the whole people think they know, but they don't really know. The people that are analyzing individual bodybuilding contests and who should have won and why, most of the time, a lot of people, they really don't have a clue. Like,
no.
I can even say this about myself. When I first got into bodybuilding, even the first couple of years of me competing, evaluating a person's physique or their conditioning or any aspect of what goes into making a great bodybuilder, I had a perception, but it really came down to what did I like looking at the most.
Right.
Looking back on it, I changed my mind on all of it.
Yeah.
And because I'm like, no, I was wrong. I just didn't really know.
You don't know why. Yeah, at the time.
And there's like hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people who were even lesser versions of what I was back then. Right. Having these heated debates on their opinion on bodybuilding.
Oh, yes.
You're just wrong. Like,
no.
You just don't know yet.
No, I used to throw I shouldn't say through. We would have these huge Olympia parties at my house, like way back in the day. And my buddy's girlfriends would literally be yelling at me, "No, you're wrong.
Right.
Kai Green's got this one. Like, look at him. It's obvious." And I'm just like, you don't even know the things I'm going to tell you. You're not even going to understand what it is I'm telling you on why he's not.
Just so you guys know, Kai Green was never close to being.
It was never even close.
No.
There was multiple Olympias where Phil walked out with the group of 5 and they instantly told Phil, go back in line. That's how bad he beat Kai.
He obliterated Kai every single time they competed.
Not even
no argument.
close.
But everybody saw Generation Iron and was
especially
like,
after Gen Iron.
Phil Heath's an asshole. Kai Green is this humble guy that lives in a little 1-bedroom apartment and cooks his fish on a little fucking...
Eats chicken sitting on the subway.
Do you guys not realize...
He's depressed.
At that point where they were filming him, he had won shows where he took home individual checks for over $200,000.
He's always kept his original apartment,
right?
But he has like this massive house in Vegas.
Kai Green was rich as fuck at the point that they were filming that.
Oh, Gen Iron, absolutely.
They were creating a story, guys. You can't just say
Pumping Iron was not real.
Right.
I can't tell you how many people I've told that to, and they're like, "Wait, what?" Like Pumping Iron was staged.
Right.
Generation Iron, which was based off of Pumping Iron, was staged.
I got news for you guys. Bodybuilding's not that interesting.
It's not.
Bodybuilders, not interesting people.
Very few of them are.
Most of them are very fucking boring.
Very boring. That's why they're in the sport.
There's a reason why there's this perception that big muscular guys are dumb idiots. That's because most of them are.
They are.
Our lives, like my life as a bodybuilder, is so mundane. Like if you were to do a day in the life of Marcus Seidel,
it's every day
career, it's boring.
It is.
So if you're gonna make a movie about bodybuilding, the only exciting thing is seeing a person's crazy muscle.
Yes.
Other than that, it's not fun.
No,
so
the end result.
Create a story to make it entertaining.
Yes.
That story was cocky Phil Heath, arrogant prick.
Yeah, with every genetic gifting versus the underdog.
Versus Kai Green, who apparently wasn't
genetic freak.
He's more genetically gifted probably than Phil.
I would agree. I mean, could put way more muscle on than Phil.
Look back at Kai when he actually was natural.
Unbelievable.
Unreal what that dude looked like. He's equally gifted as Phil. He was probably equally as rich as Phil.
I would agree. And now probably has surpassed Phil in income.
Oh, I would guarantee he makes more money than Phil now. But at that point, probably very close to being equal. I mean, he was making high, like not $100,000. We're talking Kai was probably making $500-700.
I would guess at a 7-figure range.
Yeah.
Just because
sponsorships and
everything. He easily.
Right.
Easily.
But that movie made it look like he was just this underdog who was doing art,
just trying to make it.
Yeah, no, he was rich as fuck. They created a story and you guys all fell for it.
They bought it.
And then now everyone thinks Kai Green.
And they still
to this day, everyone
and it will never die.
It's like, guys, they even lied in the movie and said that whichever year it was that they filmed at the Olympia, they fucking literally lied in that movie and said that it was a 1-point decision.
I know.
Unanimous. Phil unanimously.
Yes.
It wasn't close between them at all. Kai was the guy that was closest to him, so they put them two on stage to make it entertaining.
Yeah.
Those judges, the minute they saw Phil Heath, those fucking judges knew this is the winner.
And we all knew. Anyone who knew the sport knew.
Anyone objective who actually understands the ins and the outs of the sport of bodybuilding, the minute you saw Phil Heath walk on stage, and at least by the time you saw Kai, who you knew was probably going to be second, it was like,
especially the year following Gen Iron.
Yeah.
That year wasn't, that year was the furthest they were from each other.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
it was the one everybody was the most emotional, and that was the furthest. The year before was probably a little bit closer. That year they were the furthest from each other.
It's actually really funny too, because I argue, if we're talking the GOAT bodybuilder debate, I actually argue that the greatest physique, I'm not saying the greatest career, the greatest career is pretty much objectively Ronnie Coleman.
Yes.
But if you want to, like, the greatest overall, most complete physique period, I think is either 2011 or 2013 Phil Heath. I think either one of those two physiques that he brought to those Olympias would have beaten any version of Ronnie Coleman, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Again, Ronnie's overall career, he won more shows, he was more dominant, he faced probably arguably tougher competition most of the years he was there, he was bigger. So yeah, career for career, I'd say Ronnie's the GOAT. The greatest ones, if I had to pick one physique that's the greatest of all time, it's either 11 or 13 Phil Heath.
Yes, which we've talked about this, me and you have, and this would be something, and people can call me out on this one, but I have Ronnie as the third.
Really?
And I have Victor Martinez one year as the second best physique.
Or 07.
Yes, as the second best physique, because I think he beat him in his prime, and they just didn't want to give it to him.
Could be.
And just for 1 year, if we're taking just one picture,
he was incredible.
and it's one I brought him up to multiple people, and they all look at me and they go back and they'll message me and they're like, you almost can't argue that. Victor maybe you could maybe have as the 3, but he's in that top 3 for one snapshot,
individual show.
Yes.
Yeah, you can make that argument, and again, it's very difficult to dispute that argument because it is such.
He beat him in his prime.
Yeah.
And it's the only one who ever came close to beating him when he was his best.
Right. Crazy.
And like I said, I'll go down saying he won that year.
Yeah, and everyone will argue with you.
Yeah, absolutely. But
I would probably even argue with you.
Back then, it's not like now where you can come in and win one. Back then, you had to earn. Even Phil should have won one more.
Roden.
Yeah, no. I believe he beat Roden that year, but Phil's first year, I thought he won.
The year before he won his first, which was 2011.
Yes.
2010, he should have definitely beat Jay.
But during that era, and it changed when Phil came in. During that era, you had to come twice. You had to show up twice before they let you in, and that Victor was a testament of that.
My opinion right now is that's what we're seeing with Hadi Chupin.
Really?
I think 19. Yeah.
He's only been 2 years. I know. I know.
Know what year.
Yeah, he's only been 2 years. Yeah.
I think he overwhelmingly easily won 2019. They gave him third. The fact that they had Bonac above him was.
I agree. I definitely agree. The hard part was, and again we've talked about it, is they would not have him next to Curry.
Right.
They kept them separated.
The perception is that the IFBB doesn't want a guy who doesn't speak English as the face of the sport.
No, I don't buy that.
For marketing. I can see why they think that, because it wouldn't be great for marketing to have a guy where the biggest following of the sport is here in the U.S., where everyone speaks English and he doesn't speak English. So it's like,
I think the opposite, but that's people's argument. I hear it all the time from people, but I think the opposite
is anything else. Because when he came out in 2019, again, I have to preface this by saying it was like the worst year ever in the Olympia. It was the least competitive Mr. Olympia contest maybe of all time.
No, I don't think there's a question.
Right. I mean, you had all like the top 3 or 4 best bodybuilders in the world.
It was like 5 of the top 7 were out.
Exactly. So like that, the door was wide open for anybody that was in that that category.
People who would get 10th were getting 3rd and 4th.
Right, and Brandon Curry had won the Arnold, and he looked the best he'd ever looked, and he'd made these improvements, and he's an American guy, and he's
good looking.
He's good looking. He's well spoken.
Yes,
he's a good face for the sport.
Yes, family guy
for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Never divorced. Yeah, the whole thing.
Shape. He also fit into the narrative that
he's pretty.
Yes, his physique is pretty, and we've had to go down this road. It used to be a shredded glute contest. Whoever had the most shredded glutes in bodybuilding and at all these shows, that was who was going to win. It was all came down to just conditioning.
Yeah.
Maybe not at the Olympia level because there's a lot more nuance there, but that was what everyone wanted to see. That became the biggest, like, the holy grail of bodybuilding. How shredded are your glutes?
Right.
Then it became, well, we're talking about these blown out waists and the people having big guts and all this other bullshit. People blew that way out of proportion, I think. But then it became a small waist contest.
Yes.
That's when Roden beat Phil, which I don't believe Roden beat Phil.
No.
I don't even think that was close.
No. I know we've had that talk. Not even remotely close. No. He didn't beat him in not one pose.
No, if maybe abdominal thigh.
Maybe.
And maybe front double bi, and that's it.
Yeah, definitely not most muscular. Nothing from the back.
Also, he may have won those by a very small
margin. And Phil won by a long shot.
Wasn't close.
No.
If you're judging in between the poses, that's where Roden quote unquote won. He controlled his stomach and his gut didn't ever come distended.
Phil got lazy.
Right, and Roden had a small waist, more aesthetic look.
Yes.
That became the turning point of the sport. And then so Curry fit that because he has a tiny waist and great taper. And so he's got all these like attributes. He's an American guy. He's well spoken. He's good looking, family guy, good ambassador for the sport. Oh, and he also has a really small waist. Doesn't matter what happens, he's gonna win. It wasn't his best look.
It wasn't.
Hottie came in. To me, it was just like Phil versus Roden. I thought Hottie shit on him in almost every single pose from every single angle. He was better conditioned. He was far bigger. He didn't weigh as much.
Right.
There's a difference, guys.
Yes.
Your weight on stage does not determine how
big you are.
Hottie, look at the pictures of Hottie next to Rami.
Yes.
From this year. There's like an 80, 90 pound difference between them, and it doesn't look
No.
Hottie's fucking huge.
Yes.
Even though he's only like 220 pounds.
Absolutely, yeah.
At most. He was competing recently in the
212s. Yeah, he can squeeze down.
He's bigger than almost anybody there. By far the most conditioned. He's got pretty good shape. He doesn't have that tiny wasp-looking waist like some of these guys, but he has good shape.
Yes.
The details, no one's close.
No,
Rami
especially in the legs. Yeah.
Yeah, the midsection, the legs. He just shit on everybody, and then they gave him third, and then this year they gave him fourth.
Right.
To me, easy second place this year at worst. Almost if you really.
He definitely beat Phil.
Definitely beat Phil, and I think he beat Curry again. But again, there was that matchup. Like, the rivalry was supposed to be Phil versus Brandon.
Right.
Phil didn't compete. He took a couple years off. Brandon got the title. Now they're going to compete against each other to see who the real...
Right.
Phil's not himself.
He's not.
And cleaning tire.
Yep.
And then you bring Hottie in. To me, again, I think you could almost argue Hottie should have won this year, in my opinion. Worst case scenario, I think second place to Rami, and I'm saying that only because Rami was just bigger.
Yeah,
he's bigger than everybody.
Yeah,
probably in the history of the sport.
Yeah, and then Hakeem Williams, I thought they screwed him too.
He looked fantastic.
He looked unbelievable, and they didn't even again put him in that top group of guys to compose against.
But what did happen, and we saw this. We could do the bodybuilding thing today too. If we're gonna switch over to classic for 1 second. Terrence Ruffin, been competing at the Olympia for like 4 straight years.
We've talked about him so much.
I was there 3 of those 4 years, and that motherfucker, I'm like, why is this guy not at the minimum in the first call-out?
At the first Olympia?
He didn't even place, I don't think.
People, I think he got 11th. I'm almost positive he got 11th. People's conversation after the first Olympia was Terrence Ruffin, who was outside the top 10. I remember all over social media, pros were like, "Who is this dude? Why is he in 11th place?"
Listen, he hasn't improved that much.
No.
He was that almost as good as he was this
And
year.
his-
He took second over Breon.
Yes.
He was almost just that good when he was placing 11th.
Yes.
Or whatever.
By far the best poser. No one will debate that.
It's not close, but
And then you just look physique.
the point I'm trying to make about him is he got shit on by the
Yes.
judging, and then everybody overwhelmingly was like, this guy needs to be placing better, this guy needs to be placing better. And if you think the judges don't see things on social media,
Oh, yeah.
they realize that the whole perception of the whole industry is that this guy is being judged unfavorably, well, now we got to pay attention to that.
I agree.
Or we're going to
But
piss everybody off.
The crazy part with him is it still took 2 more years.
I know.
Because I don't think he moved down, but I'd have to go back and look 6th or 7th place the next time around, and that was an injustice.
For sure. I mean, and
Something about
he
him.
finally placed where he deserved to
Yes.
place, which was second to Bumstead. Looked out of his mind.
He did.
Incredible this year.
He did. I didn't think he was going to hold on to the O, and he did.
But so I think Hottie is in that same position. I think the last 2 years, I think a
Yeah.
majority of people are like, okay, no way he should have placed
Right.
19.
Phil got his last free ride. This was
sure.
it for him.
Phil
Yeah.
should and probably will retire.
Yes.
And then this, the same thing this year for him to get 4th behind Phil, who was a shell of himself.
Yes.
Curry, who again was not at his best, and I think Hottie should have definitely been above him. And again, I think the battle should have been between Hottie and Rami, but of course he took 4th and got overlooked again. And now I
Right.
think the social media aspect where you have the fans and everybody talking about it, it's like this guy keeps getting fucked.
Yeah.
Eventually he's gonna win one, I think.
He maybe, yeah. I think it'll be hard for him.
I think the door's open though.
I do.
Because Phil's done.
Right.
Another thing people don't know about Roden is even if Roden deserved to win when he did, Roden's a lot older than people realize.
Way
Roden's in
older.
his, like mid-40s.
Yes.
He
He
might be
took
done.
7 years off.
Yes, in the middle of his
Yeah,
career, like
yes.
in his prime,
Yes.
years-wise.
Right.
Age-wise. He's in his mid-40s.
Right.
He might be done permanently.
I don't see any way he's not.
Yeah, I don't know that he's going to come back.
He's not a highly motivated guy as it is.
No, and I don't think he's going to come. Even if he does come back, I can't imagine him coming back at 45 or
Better.
whatever and being even as good.
Yes.
We just saw it happen with Phil, and Curry. I think Curry.
He's on the decline.
He's older too, but
Yes.
I already think Hottie's already better than him.
Yeah, and he doesn't have a whole lot else he can do.
No, I mean
His frame's just packed.
yeah, you're not going to put too much more muscle. on
No.
him, especially at his age.
Yes.
I mean, you're going to start running into real health issues at his age.
Yes.
If you're doing what's necessary to continue
Right.
growing.
Right. We're seeing it with Flex now.
Who else is besides Rami, who's inconsistent?
Right.
Who else is there that's going to beat him?
Like I said, yeah, you got Hakeem. And I think the same thing happened with Hakeem. Because you're seeing all over social media.
Start placing better,
Yes,
sure.
yes. And all the big name guys are taking pictures with him in the offseason, already saying how much better he already looks. He's going to be a dude in the conversation. Diasha is a dude I think you can start to see in a conversation. He's going to have problems put on size, too.
For sure, he always
Yeah.
kind of has.
Yeah.
But like I said, I just
No, he's going to be in the mix.
yeah, the guys who were beating
And
him,
Bonak's on his way out, too. So.
right, and I don't think Bonak's on his level.
No, and then Dexter's done. So yeah, you're starting to knock all those guys out.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I think he's
Cedric
next in
McMillan's
line.
done. Yeah. But there's a lot of young guys. That's the reason I'm not just gonna throw it to him. There's some young guys coming up and through.
True. But then a lot of those young guys, when they get onto the bigger stages, get like Hunter Labrada, for example.
Right.
Kid's a phenom.
Oh, absolutely.
I take nothing away from him. He's a phenom.
Freak of nature.
He seems like an awesome dude.
Yep.
I know a lot of people who know him personally, and he seems like a great guy. And his physique is fucking crazy.
Oh, unbelievable.
For his age. Like, he's the future of the sport,
Yes.
no question. But on the Olympia stage, he got exposed like bad. He wasn't close to those guys.
Oh no.
What's Canadian kid? Reagan Grimes.
Which again we've talked about it for years.
I think he's highly overrated. First of all,
Gorgeous physique.
yeah,
Gorgeous physique. Not a bodybuilder.
right. And he's too big for classic. He's not gonna do what's necessary to grow to the necessary
And he
size.
said it.
Yeah, so it's
He's
like,
open about
I
it.
think you're seeing probably the best version you're gonna get of him, and it's on that. He did not belong on that. He
No.
shouldn't have even if I were him, I would not have even gone and done
I think he knew it was one time. I just have that feeling with him that
he could come back. He's so young. He could definitely make it back, but he's just not that good.
That's what I mean. I don't know. Like I said, he's been very open about not willing to do what it takes to get to that level.
Well, he went over to Kuwait for a very short stint and couldn't hack it. And came back.
He knows
that over there they're gonna do what you have to do.
Yeah, and he's not gonna do it
in his shoes. He's not.
He makes too much money not doing it.
That's fine.
Yeah,
I think that's good. I would probably do the same.
Yes.
But as a bodybuilding fan, you look at him and you're like, dude, the potential.
Oh, it's massive. He has the highest potential of anybody out there at a young age.
He's got Dennis Wolf, but
proportions.
More complete,
yes.
A little even prettier than Dennis Wolf.
No doubt.
Potential if you do what's necessary.
Yep. And he won't.
He's not.
No.
So, and that's fine. It is what it is. But like my point is, some of these younger guys, people perceive these younger guys as they're going to be the next big thing. And
right.
Sometimes they are.
Very rarely are they.
Rarely, yeah. Like even Justin Compton.
Absolutely.
He's done. He was done before he got started.
Yeah.
He was, and I was even the guy. It was like 2014 or so.
He should have won an Arnold.
Right, and it was like 2000 because I competed against him. I say that. Take that with a grain of salt. We competed in the
same show, right?
In the same class,
right?
We didn't compete against each other,
right? Well, you competed against Derek Lunsford too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's been a lot of phenoms that I've competed against, quote unquote. The camera's off, so I can't do fingers. But that was competed in the same show as some of these people, including Justin. And by 2014, I said 2016, Justin Compton will be Mr. Olympia.
Right.
I mean, he competed that year, and I thought he got overlooked at that Olympia.
Yes.
He was done after that. Like, he had health issues and
severe health issues.
People don't understand what goes into looking the way that those guys.
And he's very open about it. And I know people at the show because he was at the Midwest 2 years ago, and he just said it was going to take him too much time to even get back to where he was at, and he just didn't want to do it again.
Wouldn't probably even be worth it.
That's what he said.
But anyway, all right. Well, you know what? Let's just wrap this. We could probably go.
Oh yeah,
5
we'll do it again.
We have to do it again.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of shit that you and I, have to cover that we never got to.
No, for sure.
So, anyway, dude, you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I hope Steve Ewing's not watching this, or hope he doesn't watch this.
Yeah.
Because I think this was a better episode.
I'm listening to his tomorrow, so we'll see.
He's way cooler than you.
Oh, I'm fully aware. Yeah. Like I started.
He's way cooler than you.
Oh yeah.
But I think this was a better episode.
Good.
Should be. It was,
I'm opening up Joel's dogs, tell him, so I'm coming for him.
Hey man, I'm not getting in the middle of that. I'm not getting in the middle.
I don't want to get in the middle of it either, so he can have it.
Yeah, he can have the hot dog market in St. Louis.
Yeah.
I need to go. Have you ever been there?
I wanted to go. He's open really weird hours.
Okay.
They're like, I think his big thing's lunch is what they said, which that doesn't really work with me.
He said that on the podcast. Yeah. He talks about it.
Right. Because he was open full hours, and then all of a sudden it was like because he's on the news all the time. They compressed his hours down because that's when he was like making all his money in the snippets. That's all that he's open.
Like I said, he talks about that on that first episode.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I pay attention to him.
Good.
I train. I mean, he would train I see him at the gym all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, he's my client, man. He's gonna. I'm telling you, I'll put it on wax right now. He's gonna bring the best physique he ever has this spring.
I don't doubt that.
I mean, he's working with the greatest coach in human history, who's also the future number one podcast of all time.
I'm glad to be a part.
Clearly, he's gonna be his best. All right, I'm gonna fucking turn this off. Now that we have a whole podcast where only like a third of it is recorded on the camera, I'm so fucking mad about that. We
actually did better once the camera turned off.
Yeah. Well, it
went organic.
We were snowballing on
right.
Top. Yeah.
Right.
But we would have done that if the camera was still on anyway.
I agree. We'll figure it out next time.
Yeah. All right.
New SD card.
All right. Well, it's been fun.
Thanks for having me.
Fist bump, even
boom, boom.
See it. All right. Cool.